Oh, you know what I love?
Sports.
Love sports.
Sports. When
it comes to
Texas A&M.
Where are you getting this information?
Let me tell you.
Welcome to TexAgs.
It's here. It's time. There's always a buzz in the air when you hit this moment.
He is a guy that has gotten better and better and better. He's just got that dog in him.
We will develop men. We will graduate players, and we will win championships on the field.
I think of him as this hawk. Before long, he's going to be swooping in on those quarterbacks.
And they embody what the school is about. It's about getting into hard situations and getting ourselves out. It's about working hard. It's about doing amazing things.
And this is a real program. It's not fake. This is a real place. And if you want to be really good at football, this is a really good place to be.
You know, if I'm betting on anybody, it's the Aggies.
Full disclosure.
Yeah.
I didn't watch the baseball game last night.
I did.
I got a lot of updates. My brother was watching. I was watching the A&M women's soccer team, A&M women's soccer, A&M Consolidated Women's Soccer Team, win another game. They're in the Final Four. Shout out to Blakely and the team, and my daughter Annalise, who played a little bit yesterday. Proud of the way they've played, and so state champions last year, Final Four this year. We'll see what happens over the weekend.
They were state champs last year.
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
Yeah, state champs last year, and now in the Final Four. Smithton Valley, who's like destroying teams 10-0. They're next. They're next up. Looks like it's going to be on Good Friday, but shout out to them. Shout out to baseball. I don't know about you.
I was there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Were you sitting with your buddy?
I had really good seats from Carroll.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh.
And they were outstanding.
All right.
It's me and Erman, Doc Mike.
Oh, I saw the picture. That's right. Yeah, I saw the picture. That's right. You know, I don't know about you, but I like runs. I like a lot of runs.
A lot of runs.
Right? Yeah. I like when A&M scores runs. I don't like when the other team scores runs or anybody has the runs, but I do like when A&M
don't like that either.
Scores runs. How about that 16?
Yeah.
And Grohovic. Is anybody hotter than Grohovic right now?
I don't think so.
My goodness.
Think so.
3 for 5.
Sydney Sweeney is not as hot as Grohovic is right now.
I don't know if I want to argue with you or just move on. I think I'm just going to move on for a moment.
But by the way, let me tell you something real quick. So last night, I kept telling Irma, hey, the wind's blowing out. We're going to see a lot of home runs. And we get to like the 5th inning. And she says, well, when's somebody going to hit a home run in the next pitch?
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's Grohovic.
So can we continue this assault on pitching staffs? Because they need another series, OB, with Vanderbilt coming up.
Yeah. If they could win the series, that would be huge. Can they? Yes. Well, look, there's going to be a game coming up where somebody's going to have a pitcher that's pitching really well.
Yeah.
And it may be this week. Now, it's my understanding Vanderbilt's had some pitching issues. And they can, like Georgia. Didn't they have one game against Georgia where they had 2 runs?
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes the other team's going to have a pitcher that's on.
Yeah.
You're not going to be able to score 10 runs every game. But, man, it is fun while they're doing it.
Yeah, it is a lot of fun while they're doing it. I just feel I think because what happened with softball this past weekend, and by the way, heck of a series. It was terrible the way it ended, or the way the first 2 games ended.
Hey, I'm going to celebrate every game that's won.
Right? But and I told you this, I think on Monday, people are holding on to last year a little bit too much for this particular group. I don't know how far this team's going to be, how far they're going to go. If they're going to go in the postseason, host a regional, I don't know any of that. I just know it is a fun brand of baseball to watch this year. They look different. They play different. They have some questions about starting pitching that I fully recognize, but their defense is significantly better. Their base running is significantly better, and their offense is significantly better.
Yeah. Wish the pitching was, but last night I would look down at my phone for a minute, and I heard Charean Wilson's home run. Because as soon as I heard it, I said, that's a home run. I looked up looking for the ball. Man, what a shot that was.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you got a guy like that batting 7th or 8th, that, man, it's just such an explosive offense that, it's fun. Or hopefully they can average about, 8 or 9 runs moving forward, from this state. And if they do,
They're going to win a lot of games.
They're going to win a lot of games.
Nico Partida.
Boy, he's so good.
Okay, so yesterday he gets an award. He gets the Perfect Game Midseason Freshman of the Year award. And on that same day, 4 for 4.
4 for 4.
Real time says, hey, this is why I got that award.
And he plays a real good third base.
Yeah.
Good with the glove. Just heck of a baseball. A&M seems to always have at least one freshman that's just, a star.
Yeah.
And
sometimes two.
Yeah, sometimes two, but at least one. Going back to Lavalette. What was the kid's name? A real skinny kid from Dallas whose dad was his dad was a college coach up in the small Dallas area college.
What
He was
year?
really good.
What
I
year
can't think of. I'm talking about 7 or 8 years ago, but he was really, really good. And he came in, just made a huge impact. If Richard or Bronny was here, they'd throw out the name oh yeah, that. And I can't.
Well,
I'm surprised that Nick hadn't already informed me.
Oh, see, now you threw Nick on blast. He's going to be upset. There's going to be an email after the show.
He was really good.
I'm just taking in this beautiful new footage we got from Andrew. Sorry, I was a little distracted.
Look at Andrew go. Good job, Andrew. Anyway, happy with what we've seen. A lot of work still ahead this weekend, major series, and we'll be all over it.
Oh, I can't wait. In fact, I intend to go.
Yeah.
I'm like such a sponge. I have a lot of friends out there that can't use their tickets. And they say, hey, well, you want to use my tickets? I say, sure.
Yeah, heck yeah, you will.
Hey, I got to tell you something, though.
Uh-oh.
I've given a lot of thought into this, and last night I decided that it's time for me, surprisingly, even to myself, that I'm going to announce today at the end of this
episode this year.
Not this episode, but until summer.
Uh-huh.
I'm going to retire.
At the end of the summer?
No, before, because at the...
right before SEC Media Days?
Well, not before, June.
Okay. I know what day it is, right? But I will say, your eyes, they got a little watery. There was a moment where I was like, I was gonna come hug you and
no, you're not getting away from me that easily.
Actually, I was gonna say
April 4th.
No, actually, what I was gonna say is I'm glad you brought that up because we're supposed to have a meeting with you after the show. Bring your playbook to Josh's office, please.
Gabe Bach and I were exchanging emails. I mean, not emails, text messages this morning. And because one time we went on this, we put on this production of saying that the Aggies that A&M should leave the SEC and go back to the Big 12 so they can win and get rid of Kevin Sumlin and hire Mac Brown and all this. And people bought it.
Didn't you write an article on it too?
Well, yeah, but we did that first, right? Yeah. And people bought it. And then
how long did you let this last?
About 45 minutes.
We started the long show, one, yeah.
And we kept arguing through the whole thing because David was pro. I mean, Gabe was pro staying in the SEC. And I'm saying, no, they and there was the April Fool. So he said, well, what can you do today? I said, I don't know. So maybe retire. But you were ready for it. So.
Well, I was ready for it, but I also I feel like you may have set it up differently. And if you would have maybe told me in the pre-show, hey, I got an announcement to make. Let's not make a big deal of it, but around 8:10.
Poor execution.
No, it was great execution. But the thing that almost got me?
What?
Your eyes got watery. They got a little watery. Little.
I'm an actor.
Yeah, accomplished actor.
Yeah, an accomplished actor. I've been in the movies.
And you were probably on the show Cops, running from the police when you were in East Texas.
That goes without saying.
Hey, so we'll probably do a little bit of this in the next segment, but I was telling you at the break that our favorite A&M quarterback was catching some strays yesterday on social media. Some NFL draft guy was coming after him, didn't even say his name, and then Bud Elliott say, I've been telling you guys for years.
For years. Huh?
Or weeks, maybe he said weeks. I don't know. I mean, if you're a back quarterback and you're a Heisman contender and you throw for over 3,000 yards and you go to the playoffs, okay, what's next this year?
I've always been very high on Marcel because I see things in him that I really like the way he plays. But I'll be the first to admit that he can get better and a lot better, and he needs to. That said, if you're going to say this guy's a terrible quarterback, I'm going to say he threw for over 3,000 yards. He ran for about 500 plus. He had some huge plays called back. He threw for 360 yards against Notre Dame, because people want to say, well, the schedule caught up to him. Yeah, the same people that say that are the same people that were putting like LSU in the top 10 of the preseason poll last year, right? And by the way, LSU's defense especially their secondary, was actually pretty good last year. They had Mansour Delane and the Stingley and Halsey. But I'll acknowledge, yes, he needs to get better. And I personally don't look at him as an NFL quarterback right now. I look at him as a guy who can be who's an outstanding college quarterback.
Right.
So I don't get the constant trashing of Marcel Reed from some of the social media types.
Yeah. Josh Pate talked about him on his show this week. He said, my confidence level on Marcel Reed is somewhere between low and high. Okay? And then he goes on to say, how often do I get his best? I don't need his best. How often do I get dependable, pretty good Marcel Reed? This is a well-built team. It's a well-constructed roster. It's got a good receiving room. He doesn't have to do it all by himself. They promoted from within at offensive coordinator. Let's see how it pans out. I don't know where to peg Marcel. That's the look around the quarterback position, confidence-wise, in the SEC. He basically said what I think we've been saying. Can he raise his floor?
Mm-hmm. He needs to.
Definitely want to see his ceiling a lot, right? But he just needs to be really good. He doesn't have to be a Heisman contender for this team to win. He just can't be really bad at the end of games.
Yeah, I think that as a first, he had a good year for a first-year starter. Now you're saying, oh, he started the year before. Well, the year before, he came in late as the starter. The whole offense was built around what they wanted to do with Connor Wigman.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's just not the same. Last year was the first year that he came in as a starter with the offense geared around him. And I think everybody's hear my voice who had a job will tell you I was better at my job the second year than I was my third, than I was my first. Why is it so hard to imagine that Marcel will be better in his second year than he was in his first?
Let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
Should they hold it against you that you are a quarterback that can run on fools? Should they hold that against you? Is that not part of the position?
Run on who?
Run on fools.
Fools?
Yeah, part of being a quarterback is moving the ball, right?
That's all the quarterback is.
Is he good at moving the ball?
Yeah.
Okay. Should he be penalized for having good wide receivers?
No.
Okay. When Phil Jackson had stars around him, if he coached a bunch of nobodies, would he win all these NBA championships?
No.
Okay. So to play at a high level, you need high-level players around you. That's just how. Will Howard at Ohio State a couple years ago, he was a good quarterback. He's fine, right? Mm-hmm. Do you think it helped him having those wide receivers?
And running backs.
Right?
Yeah.
Do you think it helps Arch having some of those wide receivers?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, it shouldn't penalize you.
No.
If you want to say he missed some throws, okay, yeah, he did. A lot early on, he missed some deep throws. At the end, he had some interceptions we'd love to have back. Did he move the ball? Did his team around him move the ball? Is it a team?
I think that last year, the final drive of the 2025 season was kind of a, what do they call it, microcosm of Marcel, of his season. And that they got the ball, had to move it, bam, 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 moved the ball right. He ran some, he made some passes. They got down to the 5-yard line, just couldn't finish.
Let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
Did Casey Concepcion have a career year?
Well, yeah, I mean, but
his best year, probably.
Yeah.
Okay. Did Mario Craver have his best year?
Yeah.
Did Nate Borkature have his best year?
Oh, without a doubt.
Okay, I just listed 3 dudes that he throws to.
Yeah.
They had their best years under
Somebody
who?
had to be throwing to him.
Exactly right. So I'm sick and tired of this BS. Casey Concepcion came in with a lot of praise.
Mm-hmm.
He took his game to a different level in this offense with that young man throwing him the ball. Nate Borkature was not mentioned as a receiving tight end or an NFL draft prospect. Did he become one because of what happened last year?
He did.
Mario Craver, we knew he had potential. Was he even talked about as being an All-American type player? He was not.
I knew he was good.
I feel like I'm getting angry. Sorry.
That's all right. It's
like you got to give credit. If people raise their game with a quarterback who was terrible, it's a team effort. And Marcel was excellent, especially in the Notre Dame game, especially in the second half of the South Carolina game, especially in the LSU game, right? And yes, we know he had some pitfalls. No doubt. He's got to fix it.
Yeah, he does. You know what? He did have a nice touchdown pass just flat dropped by KC in the first half of that South Carolina game.
Did ABR not emerge into a legitimate wide receiver with Marcel throwing him the ball?
Yes.
Okay.
Even though I will say this, the most impressive catch I saw ABR made was a pass that said, Marcel, don't throw that. Remember LSU? He throws
LSU, yeah.
It was a heck of a catch. I think that Marcel will be a better quarterback this year, if for no other reason, if he just runs more. And I'm talking about, look, here's an example. They got down at the 5-yard line or inside the 5-yard line twice against LSU. The first time he throws into traffic, a little bit late to his receiver, and it's interception.
Yep.
The second time, he scrambles.
Yep.
He puts a big move on Harold Perkins.
Yep.
Jukes him out of his shoes.
Yep.
Scores a touchdown.
So let's go back to that comment I said. Did KC have a great year, a better year? Did Mario? Did Nate? If all three of those guys, numbers would have gone south. Okay, well, Nate, it probably wouldn't have registered. All right, but let's say KC has worse years than he had at NC State. All right, and let's say Mario Craver, doesn't. Then those are fair, I guess. But they didn't. Guess what? They were great. So the argument's stupid.
Yeah, and I think about, look, I thought Colin Klein did a nice job as offense coordinator, but I think about the play against Auburn that was intercepted. Yeah, Marcel gets the interception. The play was messed up from the start with a bad snap, but it never should have been called.
Yeah.
You don't need to call that play there. So with some smarter play calling to help him out, those are some other things, some ways you can see improvement. But I think Marcel has put a lot of, I've talked to his dad, and he's told me some of the things that he's done. He's put a lot into getting better. And, to me, what better looks like next year is a few more rushing yards and a lot less interceptions.
I think what better looks like is if the offensive line is good, he'll be better. If the offensive line takes a significant step back, it's going to be hard for him to be better. If it takes a step up, I think if he has more time, he's going to be better. If the running game is better than it was last year, he's going to be better.
I think if the offensive line is as close to the same as it was last year, Marcel's still going to be better. I think Marcel's going to be a better quarterback. Go back sometime, look at Teddy Bridgewater.
Yeah.
His first year at Louisville as a starter, and look at 2 years later.
All right. Let's tell the people the show they're listening to, Obi. I forgot already.
TexAgs Live.
Thank you. Presented by who?
David Gardner's Jewelers.
Yeah, I'm glad you knew that. No April Fools there.
No April Fools at all.
Rollo Insurance Studio.
Jason, Jackson, Morgan.
Keith? Do we want to involve Keith in this? Or we can eliminate him.
Keith is a good old guy.
He's a great guy, but like right now.
No, Keith is
Circle of Trust.
He's important in that that
infrastructure.
That infrastructure. Thank you.
And this hour,
it's the go hour.
It's the go hour because we go.
Yeah.
Why do we call it the go hour?
Gabe and Olin.
That's right.
People going to work.
They're going to work, and we're going on the show.
Yeah.
Brought to you by the Warehouse at CC Creations. We are right now sitting in a place that I love. I call this the Holistic Planning Cool
Zone. The cool zone. Because nothing's cooler than somebody out there handling your investments, making money for you, getting you ready for retirement, keeping some of that money away from the IRS. Really important around, 2 weeks from now.
OB, some people make it rain. We make it hail with our pennies and quarters. Yeah. That's what we do. And if you want to be a part of the conversation, you can call us up multiple ways. One way is to call us on the Buppy's Catering and
Bartending
hotline, 979-693-1150, or you can text us on the
Catalyst Pure Performance Energy text line,
979-693-1150. Let's go around the room, say hi to the people, even though we should have gone to break 4 minutes ago. Sorry, Louie. Nick Savage, hello.
Howdy, good morning, y'all.
What's up?
OB, you got this whole back room for half a second, until we figured out, wait, it's April 1st. So good job, good joke. You scared me and Kay. I turned around and looked at Kay and said, did you know about this? but good one. Speaking of Aggie baseball, during this 6-game winning streak, they've scored double-digit runs 5 of those 6 games. They've outscored their opponents 73-26, and going into last night, they're top 3 in runs scored in the SEC. They might have moved up a spot. They haven't updated the run statistics just yet, but Aggie offense is firing on all cylinders, and like you said, David, big part of it has been Gavin Grohovac.
Yeah, Gavin Grohovac, man, what has he got? Like 5 home runs in the last
4 days,
like 2 games or something like that. It's crazy.
Yeah, and what was his home run total coming into the Missouri series? Like 3?
Yeah, he hadn't hit too many, but he's obviously found
8.
something.
Yeah, he's been fantastic. Let's go to the Angry Elephant News and Social Center. Kayla Gaither, hello.
Hey guys, Obi, you got me too for just a second, and then I saw the little glimmer in your eyes, and I was like, wait, it's real? And then I saw it was April 1st too, so you got me there for a second. You're a good actor,
You know what?
I'd say.
I probably should have just gone on with it.
Honestly, you should
I should have. I'm sorry.
That's all right.
If you would have warned me, I would have gone with it. But I was like, he's trying to get me, bro. I'm not going down.
Well, back to something that you were talking about, Obi, Braden Shoemake.
Braden Shoemake, that's the freshman guy.
Yes, that was
He was really good.
He was. He averaged .323 in his 3 years playing at A&M. I believe he was drafted to the Atlanta Braves.
Okay.
I believe. But yeah, just somebody texted that in, wanted to.
I knew somebody would know.
Yes, somebody knew and texted in. But I do want to talk about some Aggie softball because we had a series in Austin this past weekend.
Mm-hmm.
A&M played number 1. They didn't win the series, but they did take away Texas's 29-game win streak, which was their school record. Michaela Wark was named the NFCA Player of the Week. She was also the TKO Performance Player of the Week yesterday. She went 9 for 12 over 4 games, had 8 RBIs, 5 runs, and 3 home runs.
9 for 12.
Yes.
Last time I checked,
That's like
that's 75%. That's 3/4.
Yeah.
What else is it?
I don't know. It's damn impressive. That's what it is.
It's damn good.
It's damn good.
Like 1775 barbecue.
Well, moving on, we're going to talk a little bit more about some women's sports because spring volleyball is back in action.
Let's go.
The Aggies competed on Saturday against Sam Houston and the University of Houston, and they beat both teams 3-1. Now, Jamie Morrison is doing a lot of turnover this year, so the 2025 National Championship team is going to look a little different this year, but it's for the better. And Kay Nagley has an article on TexAgs all about it, so you can go read it.
Yeah, go check that out. Good stuff. Obi, let's hit a break.
Okay.
Yeah. And you already kind of gave us a segue to 1775,
Yeah.
right? So
It's open tomorrow.
they are open tomorrow.
Yeah.
Can you mix in some April Fools, but also some April truths about 1775?
Well,
I put you on the spot now.
yeah. I got to tell you something. That brisket, that succulent brisket, I got to tell you, it may be the best I've ever had. No fooling. That's some outstanding brisket. But
You jive turkey, tell me more.
turkey. Let me tell you something about that turkey. I am the type of guy that should eat more turkey because I'm fat.
You're not
Now,
fat.
I'm fat. But Olin's not fat. April Fool. Go to 1775 and eat some turkey, you fat fool.
Okay, I'm glad you said fool.
But hey, when I tell you that those pork ribs are amazing, no fooling. When I tell you that the jalapeno cheese sausage is tremendous, no fooling. And when I'm telling you about the queso mac and cheese,
No fooling around.
No fooling around with that queso mac and cheese. So I tell you what, I love it so much. Tomorrow, if you're hearing my voice, be there by noon. I'm picking up the tab for everybody at 1775.
April Fools!
April Fools! How was that?
Yeah, I'm glad you got that one in because if not, somebody would have showed up. Hey, Olin's at me. Hey. All right, 1775, txbbq.com, 979-492-6241. Olin, it's 1775.
And it's good. No fooling.
I'm Wes Mangan, and I live on a piece of property with my wife and 2 boys and several animals. I work in oil and gas, and I travel a lot, and so when I come home, it's like my sanctuary. I get to see Lauren and the boys, and it's been just a perfect fit for us, and it's really improved our family time. And this is the first land I'd ever purchased, so dealing with the land side of things and dealing with Capital Farm Credit was super easy for us through the whole process. I definitely feel like with Capital Farm Credit, together we are better.
I've been auditioning as your personal trainer, right, or nutritionist.
Yeah.
And I don't think you are what you said the last segment, but people are responding to what you said. I feel bad even reading them. But
I'm taking your advice, but it's going to take time, right?
It's going to take time, yes.
In fact, they got a whole bunch of scrambled eggs over there.
Oh, you brought scrambled eggs to work?
Yeah.
All right. Good for you, yeah.
4 regular eggs and then 2 more with egg whites.
They're my guy, yeah.
Taking his advice.
Yeah. And how many proteins are you trying to hit a day?
Look, that's over my head, right?
We're going to talk. I'm going to give you a plan. But this is what James says. Obi isn't fat. He's plump. Okay, that wasn't nice.
No, it's actually nice.
And K. Cowdock. Obi isn't fat. He's just big boned.
I wish that
There's no such thing as a big bone, by the way. They're just bones.
That's not true. Look at this. Look at my finger. See that?
Oh God. Oh.
See my finger? That's
oh my God, stop.
That's because
bro,
when I was a baby, I was allergic to milk. And so I didn't get enough calcium. And so I have bones that are somewhat.
This is a true story right now.
Yeah, so somewhat.
Not a part of the April Fool's stories.
No, this is a true story. Somewhat. So that had something to do with, not getting the bone density that maybe most people have.
Huh. I don't know how to respond to that, so we're just going to go into...
hey, it's okay. I'm 64. I'm still alive,
And you look good, right?
Just a little fat.
Stop! Anyway, I don't know if we should do this here because we got Charean waiting, but we'll do like a brief version of it. This is going to come up multiple times this offseason. But to me, we talked about if the offensive line is as good or good, Marcel will have a better year. The season may come down to, as it has, how many times in A&M's tenure in the SEC to November. And a brief glance with preseason expectations, November is going to be hard as you know what.
Mm-hmm.
So going to South Carolina has not been easy the last few times A&M has gone there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they do that. They host Tennessee. Now, we don't know what level of Tennessee, if we're going to get a typical Tennessee team or not, but it is Tennessee, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then playoff expected / playoff returner, Oklahoma.
Yeah.
And Texas probably going to be your preseason 1 or 2.
Okay.
That's a very hard November.
Yeah. And
it's supposed to be hard, I know, but it's a very hard November. Oh, and by the way, I didn't mention the week before, or 2 weeks before the South Carolina game, you're at Tuscaloosa.
And I would say this, last year, and I'm assuming those teams are going to be good, but last year, take out Samford, but if we were talking on April 1st of 2025 about the upcoming schedule, you would have looked at November. I can't remember what day the LSU game was. I think that might have been in October.
It was October.
But they were saying, going to Missouri, South Carolina was, I think, a top 10, if maybe top 15 at most, at worst, preseason team. And then toward the end of the year last year, A&M was being criticized for its schedule not being tough, even though they played all these teams that the same people criticizing them was saying we're going to be top 10 or top 15 teams.
So put this year's schedule up again, Nick, and let's look through it. And how many of these teams the national media is going to predict as playoff teams, and then how many of those teams that Olin would predict as playoff teams? Because I think they'll be different.
Well, the national media is going to say LSU for sure. They already are. They're going to
say Alabama
because they'll do that out of habit, and Texas, and then they'll be the national media didn't, but Shane Beamer's already told us that South Carolina is going to be in the playoff, and maybe they will, and
Oklahoma.
Then Oklahoma. So 5 of the
4 or
5, and one of them I can't even see. It's blocked out by one of the cameras, but it's probably who's that after Arkansas?
Missouri. Some people may have them.
Some people may.
Now, Olin, if we were to say Olin, which one of those teams do you think will be a playoff team next year? Who will you say?
Well, I'm going to say Texas, and
you're not going to say Alabama, I don't think.
No, because. Again, I don't know why Alabama's going to be as good as they were last year.
Maybe Oklahoma?
Maybe Oklahoma and LSU.
Yeah.
Even though I have my reservations about Oklahoma's offense and LSU's defense.
Yeah, I look at that, and there's no way to predict
for that matter.
On April 1st how those teams are going to be based on the unknowns of today's college football. That's why I think you can buy brands and coaching styles. And I think Lane typically has his teams pretty dialed in, ready to play.
And they're willing to pay to get the players they need.
I think Kalen DeBoer, he's still got to show it to me.
Oh, I don't think Alabama's going to be bad. Right?
No. They're probably a nine-ish win team.
8 or 9, I think.
Yeah.
And, they kind of sneaked in to a certain degree last year.
Yeah.
And think about all the things you're taking off that team. From Ty Simpson, who some say is going to be a first-round draft choice, to Proctor.
Yeah.
And I can't think of the names right here because I've been in basketball mode, but they had a couple of really good defensive players, another offensive lineman. Isaiah Horton is Bernard,
Jeremy Bernard.
the receiver. He was really good. I think he's done. So, I look at him. I'm thinking, I would love to talk to someone from Alabama. Tell me why. You tell me, because you're closer to the program, why Alabama will be as good or better without these guys after what we saw last year.
Set a break and talk to Charean on the other side. Milliken Reserve Time, farm-to-table community in College Station. They got homes, they got trails, they got farms, they got wide open spaces with a mission to build a healthy community. They're dedicated to the conservation of a healthy lifestyle. They've got 30 miles of trails, they've got homes, they've got 2,600 acres of open space and a beautiful network of trails throughout a wooded landscape. You'll love going to Milliken Reserve where you can go hiking, biking, canoeing, kayaking, you name it, you can do it. Throw the ball with your friend, fly a kite, climb a tree like OB does. It's a great place to be outdoors with your families, connect with nature and with each other. You can learn more at millikenreserve.com. That website, millikenreserve.com. And we're back, TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers Wallow Insurance Studio. Let's go to the Buffy's Catering and Bartending Hotline. Charean Williams, Pro Football Talk, joining us here to chit-chat all things football, life, and A&M. Charean, good morning. How are you?
I'm good. Sitting at the Phoenix airport, about to go through security. We got those security lines down, so all is well today.
So how was the owners' meetings?
It was interesting. Passed a few rules changes. I think two of the biggest are they can drop a flag for fighting or something like that. If they want to disqualify a player, they'll kick the player out. It goes back to a couple instances last season when they wanted to kick a player out, but there was no flag on the field. DK Metcalf being one of them. And then the other one is they're at an impasse with their officials, and it looks like there could be replacement officials again. We all know what happened last time that they had replacement officials. It was the Hail Mary, and they want to prevent that this year so they can. New York can kind of oversee everything and correct anything they want to correct if that's the case, which kind of opens a Pandora's box, which we asked about yesterday, and they don't think that's the case. But I think if they get everything fixed through technology, then people are going to be saying, why, when the real refs come back, aren't we fixing everything with technology? So that's going to be interesting if that happens, and it does look like there's going to be replacement officials, at least where they are in negotiations right now. So other than that, getting some coaches and talking about things. I saw Aggie and Dan Campbell, and so it was a nice owners meeting and very short.
Charean, tell me if they do this, we're from New York, they're going to make calls. Why would they need human officials if they can do it with technology?
Well, and I think what they want to avoid, Olin, and they talked about this, Rich McKay, the head of the competition committee, talked about we don't want 3-hour and 20-minute games. And they looked at college, which is 3-hour and 30-minute games. They said, we certainly don't want that. They want games that go 3 hours, boom, they're over. And so that's what they're trying to avoid. And they think by using this technology that it's going to prolong games. And they don't want that. So I think that's the only thing that kind of gives them pause about having technology, fix things on the field. But, I'm one who says that the sky judge could do that very quickly if you have and they do have one up there, but it's limited what the sky judge, they don't call it that, but what the official up in the booth can fix. But if there is a sky judge, you can fix anything, in my mind, pretty quickly and move on with the game, which is what it should be. You want to get big plays right. You don't want bad officiating calls, which we see, which decide games. You don't want that to happen.
Charean, how close are we to getting Jerry's wish of 18 regular season games?
Yeah, I think they're very close to that. I think that could happen. It's not going to happen this upcoming season, 2026, but I think 2027 it's very possible. 18 games, and they'll have 2 byes. Every team will play one international game. And I think we're headed to that. And I think we're headed to that very quickly. If you notice the Super Bowls, they don't have a date yet starting with the 2027 season. There's no date for the Super Bowl. And I think there's a reason for that. The reason is the season's going to be longer. It's going to go to President's Day weekend, which next year it is. Super Bowl is on President's Day weekend, just because of how the calendar falls. The season starts a week later. But I think we're really close to that. And, Mark Cuban had the famous quote of pigs get fat and hogs get slaughtered. And Jerry Jones responded to that yesterday by saying, when ducks quack, you feed them, meaning there is an appetite for NFL football, and we need to give them more games because they want more games. We'll see if that's the case. I am a huge NFL fan. I don't want more games. 17 to me is plenty. We're at the right length of a season. I think late in the season, the last couple of weeks, really gets to be garbage games with, that don't have meaning in a lot of cases, and we're seeing a lot of bad football.
How do you think the Players Association will feel about that proposal?
Well, they're definitely against it right now. You won't find a player to say, yes, I'm in for that. However, when they start throwing money at them, that's when their tune is going to change, and they're going to agree to it. I mean, we all know it's all about money, and the more money they can get, they're going to be in favor of it. So that's what's going to happen. They're going to throw money at them and explain to them how much more money this is going to bring in, how much more money they'll make, and they'll be in favor of it after that. I can almost assure you that's going to happen. So I think we're headed there, and we're headed there in a couple years.
Talking to Charean Williams here on TexAgs Live. Charean, why is Roger Goodell encouraging or pushing for NFL players to play in the flag football Olympics that's happening? And didn't the pros recently get destroyed in like a warm-up match or something? I think I read that.
Yeah, destroyed is well put, and it was predictable because flag football is just a different game. You know, it's totally different, and those players who played flag forever know how to pull the flags. That's basically what it came down to. Is NFL players weren't used to pulling flags and things like that. They could get good at it if they devoted the next 2 to 3 months at it. But if they're doing that, they're not training for the NFL. It's what Sean Payton said yesterday. And Sean Payton, who coached one of the teams in the Flag Fanatics event that got destroyed by Team USA, said he doesn't expect any NFL players to make Team USA. And I would also expect that to be the case after seeing what happened in that event. But Roger Goodell said he expects to have NFL players in it. I will say this. If there are NFL players in that event, then there may be former players. Now, if it's former players, that's something else because they can afford to spend the next 2 to 3 months learning the game and how to play the game. But if it's current NFL players, then it's there just for TV ratings, for people to watch, because they don't deserve those spots, as we saw in the Fanatics thing. But I do think the NFL will push to have NFL players in there because they're pushing flag football. They just announced a pro football league for men and women. Each will have their own league, professional league. They're really pushing flag football. I think it was the Big 12 or the Big 10 is looking into adding flag football as a conference event. So it is growing. And it is becoming a bigger sport, but if NFL players play in this thing, I promise you it is only because they want TV ratings.
I would seem to think that if the NFL players got in and really took it seriously, I wonder how seriously they took it and this other thing. But if they really took it seriously, I mean, is there some Yahoo out there who plays flag football for competitively that's really going to be able to say, keep up with Justin Jefferson? Right?
Go ahead, Sherry.
I think it's more about the defense, the pulling of the flags. That's what they're not used to. I think it was more the defensive side of the ball. Now, they didn't score a ton of points. I think Sean Payton's team scored 17 points. They didn't score a ton of points. But I do think it is more, yes, you're correct in that. They're not going to keep up with Justin Jefferson. But I do think it's more on the defensive side of the ball, learning to pull the flags, how to pull the flags, and how to avoid having your flag pulled. The Saquon Barkley's game, for instance, doesn't translate real well. I mean, he's good at running over people and all that sort of stuff. And so I don't know if it translates as well in flag football as it does in the NFL. And those guys do it all the time, are used to spinning and moving and what they have to do to get their flags from being pulled. So I think it's more all on the defensive side of the ball if they need to work on.
Charean, have a safe flight. We'll talk to you soon.
Thank you, guys.
Charean Williams there on the Bumpy's Catering and Bartending Hotline. We'll hit a break. Come back with a final segment of the Go Hour before we start the 9 o'clock. Right now, when insurance matters most, who's going to answer your call? That's the Rollo Insurance Group. They're going to take amazing care of you when you need insurance, right? When you're looking for your new insurance provider, you should start that search with Rollo Insurance by going to rolloinsurance.com/TexAgs. If you're in the Bryan-College Station market, they're right here. If you're not in the Bryan-College Station market, it's okay. They got offices all over Texas, 60 offices plus, and they're all over the country. But they're super hyper local here in College Station. You see their headquarters when you drive down on Highway 6, and they can take care of you with ranch insurance, homeowners insurance, car insurance, you name it. They'll talk you through the entire process and make sure that you know exactly how you're covered, why you're covered, and what's next. Visit the website, rolloinsurance.com/TexAgs, rolloinsurance.com/TexAgs, or call them up, 888-44-ROLLO. That is 888-44-ROLLO. It's Rollo Insurance. As a reminder, the final segment of the program is brought to you by Double Dave's. That is at 10:50. But right now, caller number 12, 979-693-1150. We're going to hook you up with your choice of a dozen pepperoni rolls or a large one-topping pizza from Double Dave's. They've been serving Aggie land since 1984 with your favorite pizza and, of course, those world-famous pepperoni rolls. Reliable in-house delivery, bringing piping hot goodness straight to your door. Just click on doubledaves.com and your favorites are on their way. We'll be back to that flag football commentary.
Okay.
I don't know how I feel. Like, in my mind, yes, I think if an NFL player, devotes his time, he's going to be unstoppable in the flag football world. But I also think, like, those guys have been doing it for a long time, are elite at what they do at flag football, which I don't pay attention to, so I don't know who's elite and not, because they've been doing it for a long time, right? Like, if I asked you, and I think you could do it, to be the host, and you asked me to write a column, I mean, could I do it? Yes. Could I do it at a high level? Maybe eventually. Well, we're both journalists, quote unquote, right? Like, so, but there are different mechanics and different focuses and different energy that we have put to where we are now, as opposed to kind of switching the focus. I guess that was my main point. I think both things can be true.
Well, I think you would, she talked about Saquon Barkley, and his game is to run over. I think you would have to be aware of the difference of the game and get guys like Devon A-Chain play.
Yeah.
Like I said, Justin Jefferson. And
Lamar Jackson at quarterback?
I would just be faster, you know, and it's kind of like, remember when the NBA or the United States had to settle for a bronze in the Olympics because I think Allen Iverson was the only player that really fit the international style of game. Yeah. And so then the next year they said, okay, all right, let's get more guys. Let's understand how that game is played. And of course, they blew everybody out.
The Redeem team, I think, is what was born after that. Well, when you have Kobe, LeBron, and who was it?
Well, LeBron was on the other one too.
He was on the other one.
He was LeBron's.
Well played, sir. All right, thank you, Obi.
Yep.
When we come back, John Harris, Pat Henry, Trisha Ford, Kendall Rogers, and Billy Liucci. It's TexAgs Live. We are back. It is TexAgs Live. We are presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. We are in the Rollo Insurance Studio, hour number 2 of the program. About to catch up with our buddy John Harris from footballtakeover.com. And, of course, he is the Houston Texans sideline reporter, NFL draft savant. He knows it all. You know what? I'm just going to pick him up on the Bubby's Catering and Bartending hotline. Let's go straight to it. Johnny, good morning, buddy. How are you?
Good morning, David. How you doing?
I'm good. Hey, so I want to talk to Sean. Oh, not Deshaun, excuse me. I want to talk to Marcel. I don't know why I thought Deshaun there. I want to talk Marcel with you. And there was some stuff on social yesterday that kind of caught A&M attention. Some people have kind of gone hard after Marcel. And I just want to kind of talk through quarterbacks. And the way I position Marcel, John, and tell me if you're on the same page as this. Look, I know he had some lows last year, and unfortunately, a lot of the lows happen at the end of the season, and that is something he's going to have to build from, no doubt, okay? But KC had a career year last year. Mario Craver had a career year last year. Nate Borkature is now an NFL potential draft pick. Like, a lot of these weapons around Marcel had career years. Somebody threw them the football. Somebody moved that offense. Somebody averaged over 35 points a game. And I just don't understand. I understand the interceptions were bad at the end of the year. They were terrible. And it partially is the reason they weren't able to beat Miami at the end. But all that being said, the amount of strays that I think this young man is catching after being a Heisman contender for most of the season at this point is kind of just a little piss-poor version of revisionist history.
Well, David, you have to understand to a degree where this all emanates from. And I kind of caught some of it on Twitter, and I knew this was probably going to be a talking point. When you have the, draft analysts, people of that ilk, or, people that think they're draft analysts, look at a player and, for example, to me, what was happening was people are really diving into KC and somebody was doing some analysis, and they had a game in which maybe, and who knows what they were watching. Maybe they watched a playoff game. I don't know. There are people that, try to do this thing that I've been doing for over 2 decades, that Lance has been doing for over 2 decades, that Dane Brugler's been doing for 15, 20 years. Daniel Jeremiah's been doing it since he came out the womb. And the one thing that the internet scouts want to do is, why is KC Concepcion only caught 2 passes in this game? Oh, it's got to be the quarterback. It's the immediate default switch for a lot of these fantasy gurus wannabe draft scouts. I mean, they look at KC and they're like, oh man, he's fast, he's quick. Oh, the quarterback's not getting in the ball. It's like, okay, man, that's the default switch, and that's what happens is the quarterback takes the criticism, because those people aren't, they're not diving into Marcel Reed, they're not diving into what Marcel did well last year, they're not diving in to the points you brought up, in that the production went up for those guys all across the board. They're not diving into that. What they're looking for is an excuse for why KC Concepcion had 2 catches for 20 yards in a game. And they like KC, and they want to build a case for KC, and then they're like, yeah, well, they get pushed on, well, why did he only have 2 catches and 20 yards in this game? Well, what's the immediate default switch? Quarterback. It's got to be the quarterback. Well, then that, of course, is going to strike a chord with a lot of people that thought Marcel, like you said, was good last year, and those numbers went up for those wide receivers. But then all of a sudden you get into that you-know-what match with those people, and it's like you're not going to talk them down the ledge and off the ledge. And I feel like that's kind of where we are as a society. It's like once you dig your heels in, you're going to go all the way. And if you tell a lie, it doesn't matter. Tell a lie. Who cares? As long as you got people on your side, tell the lies. And I think that's what ends up happening is there's not this discourse of, okay, well, yeah, maybe in this game, Marcel wasn't as good. But these other games, I can accept he was good. And maybe KC wasn't as good in that game for whatever reason. Maybe the coverage was different. Maybe the defense they were playing was different. Maybe it took a second to unlock the defense they were facing. I just feel like what I saw yesterday on Twitter was emblematic of what we see now in all walks of life. I'm on one side of the argument. I believe this, and I will not at all listen to anything that you on the other side have to say. And there is an excuse for everything. Oh, it must have been the quarterback. It's got to be the quarterback. And that is happening more and more in the draft analysis, which makes me mad because I've been doing it for a long time, knowing that there are no absolutes. There is no what was wrong with Casey Concepcion in this game. Well, it was the quarterback. No, there are no absolutes. And the flip side of that is understanding you might be wrong. There might be a differing point of view. And those guys that I all mentioned have been in this thing a long time, me included, that look at it and go, yeah, maybe in a game it might have been Marcel. Maybe Marcel was struggling hitting some of the routes they were trying to throw that game. But you know what? Maybe they were trying to take away KC in the game with the coverage or the way that linebackers were, playing, on routes that were running through the middle of the field. Maybe the coverage was different than what they had seen on film, and that just took a little while to unlock the box. There's just a lot of different reasons for things nowadays, and people want to just jump to one reason. Marcel Reed wasn't the one reason why KC struggled in times that he struggled. Might have been part of the reason. Might have been play calling. Might have been, KC himself not feeling great that day. Might have been just a little bit off on his routes. Whatever. It's not just one thing. And when you try and pigeonhole it like it's just Marcel Reed, it makes you look like a freaking idiot. I'm sorry, it does. Learn how to, quote unquote, argue. Learn how to discuss. I learned that, David, the hard way. I learned it back in 2008. I was,
that's right.
I don't know, 30-something at the time, and Dwayne Brown gets drafted by the Texans, and I lost my absolute you-know-what. I wasn't listening to anybody. I was convinced Dwayne was not good, and you could come up with all these different reasons, and I would just shoot them down, and all of a sudden Dwayne Brown turned into a 5-time Pro Bowler, and I learned my lesson. And my lesson was there is a lot of different nuance to this whole thing of looking at players. And if I ever become a scout, I've got to take the experience I had with Dwayne. And I talked with Dwayne. I've talked with Dwayne over the years. He's become a dear friend. And what I missed and how I missed it. And I try not to make those mistakes again and get entrenched in how I feel about players, especially in the negative. I try to accentuate as many positive things as I possibly can. But I will listen to everything about why a player doesn't succeed or maybe will succeed. And yeah, there's a time or two I'll dig my heels in if the guy's a butthead, and if I know that guy is a character issue, or I know that guy's been arrested for bad driving in Athens. Yeah, I will definitely, that's the side I will go to. But from just a playing side, there's so many different reasons why players succeed and so many different reasons why players fail. It's not one. But that's the discourse we have now because we are not, for some reason, we have become, well, I'll tell a lie to win my argument. That's BS. I don't know where we've learned it, but we've learned it. Just tell lies. It doesn't matter. Nobody will call us on this. No. Listen to discourse on both sides and understand, you know what, the other guy might be right. The other person might be right. She may be wrong. He may be right. She might be right. He may be wrong. But we don't look at it that way. And that's what's frustrating as an older person that I've become, now 54 years old.
Well, and I think that's very wise, Johnny, that, like, for Marcel, for instance, there's so much nuance to it. Look, was he an effective quarterback? Can you look at numbers and say that this? Can you see, by the way you play quarterback, it's about moving the ball. Did he move the ball? He struggled in a couple games. Nobody's avoiding that. We know he had to be better in the Texas game and the Miami game. He should have been better in the first half of the South Carolina game. And I know a lot of those happen at the end of the year. But I still think some people just pick this like version of their truth and they will die on it without looking at it like, you know what, there's several different, like I can tell you some of the mistakes that Marcel made. I saw it, and he's got to get better. Doesn't mean that the whole body of work should be thrown away when he was a Heisman candidate for 10 games. I do want to ask you, though, how you evaluate what somebody did in college, and I'm talking from a statistical standpoint and an eyeball test, and how it translates to the NFL. And I'm not even talking about Marcel here. I'm almost talking Ty Simpson, where I saw him, he was good, right? I don't know why he is now being mentioned as maybe QB1 by some. And, you know, there's some good reasons laid out there. So when you evaluate somebody, you see their production in college, how do you look at that and then look at how their game will translate to the next level?
You know, it's funny, David. I very rarely will look at production. I mean, from a, you know, I'm going to rely on this. Hey, this guy had 85 catches last year. That must mean that he, you know, did this well and that well and this well. And, you know, I very rarely will go on production. I think one of the things that I ask myself a lot, and this is where I have a little bit of an advantage over others, is I live in an NFL building. So I see what NFL players look like. I see what they're supposed to look like. You know, now that we've got a building full of stars and Will Anderson Jr. and Nico Collins and Daniil, you know, and CJ, and I see all these guys on a daily basis, I'm like, oh, okay, that's what it's supposed to look like. I think the biggest thing is when you're looking at offensive linemen and defensive linemen, and you see those guys and you're like, damn, okay. But it's not even so much the size, but it's just how quick they do things, how fast they use their hands, how strong they are against other grown men. That's probably the hardest one, David, is that. I'll give you an example. Emmanuel Pregnon from Oregon, really good player. I really like him. And I think Chase is this way too, but I think Chase's athleticism is a little different. But Pregnon is a guy that kind of tosses around college defensive linemen. And it's like, man, how do I forecast that? Because he's really damn strong, but, you know, that's a guy that might be playing in the UFL in a year or two, or a guy that might not even play football in 2 years. How do I do that? So I try and find as much as I possibly can. Okay, this is Pregnon against Ohio State because he's going to face Caden McDonald. He's going to face the other young kid from Ohio State who is a beast. He's going to go against those guys. Okay, this might give me a little bit better of an assessment of what I'm going to be looking at. And I think the other thing, too, like I just mentioned, like Chase, to me, when I watched him, you see a different level of athleticism. Like, okay, that's a level of athleticism you don't normally see in college. That translates. Those things translate. And over the years, I've tried to find what it is that can translate to a different level. Like everybody thinks edge rushers have got to have this bounce, this get off, this, you know, first step, whatever. My thing is I'm going to watch how you throw hands. If you throw hands and you got violent hands, like I've learned this over the years. Like it used to be for me, like how fast the guy was, you know, how explosive he was off the edge. But if you're just explosive off the edge, these smart tackles figure it out. But if you're constantly throwing hands, you got to package your pass rush moves. And you can combine that with, you can be a little bit smaller, shorter, you know, quicker, but you got some power because you're so good with your pass rush moves. Like I've changed over the years, like some of the things that I think make me convinced the guy can come to the NFL and play. The one that is still mysterious always and will always be is the one you mentioned, quarterback. Because what's happened, the evolution of the college quarterback then filters up, but it takes a little while. And so I think as Andy Reid had said it, you know, the NFL is probably 5 to 7 years behind college. So you started seeing more dual threat quarterbacks in college, but the NFL, you weren't seeing that. Well, then as quarterbacks moved through college and then were moving to the NFL, coaches were like, well, dude, this guy's super talented, but he's been in this sort of college offense. You know, hey, maybe I need to change the way we do things. You know, maybe we need to be kind of a pure progression read, you know, as opposed to reading coverages and all that kind of stuff. Maybe we need to make things a little bit easier because I got this dual threat guy that they were doing things different in college. How do I make his transition a little bit better? So it's a moving, evolving art. And that's the way I look at it. And the way that I have had to change over the years, like when I sit down with a prospect now, I'm like, okay, these are different things that I look for versus, what I did maybe when I was looking at Dwayne. And Dwayne sort of changed my tune on that. Like I can't be entrenched in, well, this quarterback doesn't do this. I think a lot of, like I've seen some older analysts. There's one in particular who is very old and crotchety, and he is stuck in his ways. And every time that he talks about quarterbacks, it was interesting because it would be the big drop back passer that would have fit in the 80s or 90s. That's the guy he loved. That's the one he loved. I even had a conversation with him at the combine one time because he didn't like a quarterback. And I was like, but this dude can throw it. He can run. He can move. He's like, he's not going to be able to run in the NFL. Lo and behold, he came in the NFL, and he did both. And he was really, really good. You have to sort of change your thought process as you go through this whole thing. And I'm talking about everything, from, what guys are used to, NIL. Guys are concerned about their NIL money now. 5-7 years ago, if guys were concerned about their money or their brand, scouts were turned off. But now everybody is concerned or, wanting to know what their NIL money is going to be, their brand, how they handle their money, all that kind of stuff. That's a factor now. It's not to write somebody off, but yet older scouts are still doing that. And so you kind of got to adapt with the times as you go. And there are some older scouts that won't do it, just stubborn, stuck in their ways. And those are the guys that end up going out to the retirement farm way too early because they're just not ready to adapt to how the NFL is changing and adapting.
Johnny, last thing for you. I'm just going to ask you an NFL question because I saw it on my timeline a little bit ago. How do you think quarterback plays out at Cleveland? Because I guess Deshaun's back. Shador had the nice finish. Dylan Gabriel, they drafted him earlier. How do you think that next year that plays out?
I think it plays out such that the Browns end up with one of the top 3 overall picks and draft their quarterback in the future in 2027, if I'm being honest. They're not in a position to draft Fernando Mendoza. They could draft Ty Simpson, but you mentioned Ty Simpson earlier. I'm not bullish on Ty Simpson. I think he is better than some people want to point out. When they get into the Mendoza and Simpson debate, I think it's more nuanced than people want to believe. And I think Ty showed some really good things at the beginning of the year. But then as teams got film on him and he kind of broke down physically a little bit, his game went to hell. I mean, if you didn't know anything about Ty Simpson and you put on a Georgia game, you'd wonder why that guy was even being drafted, much less being discussed in the top 2 rounds of the NFL draft. So I don't know that you find anybody that's not named Fernando Mendoza. I think, honestly, the Browns want to get Deshaun's money off the books. They really aren't totally sold on Shador, it seems. And it doesn't feel like they're sold on Dylan Gabriel either. So go out there, kind of figure it out from week to week what you think gives you the best chance to win, and you win 4 or 5 games, you end up with a top 3 pick in the draft, and you draft one of the quarterbacks that's coming in next year's draft, which I think the quarterback class is going to be way better. Whether it's Dante Moore, Lenore Sellers, Arch Manning, et cetera, there are going to be at least 5 or 6 that are going to have first-round consideration. And I know there's probably a couple I'm not even considering just because I'm ripping off the top of my head. So that's where they need to go. Problem is, Deshaun, you have no idea where he is. He's played 19 games in 5 years or 6 years or whatever it is since he's been in Cleveland. 19 games, basically a season. He's been out for 700-plus days. How do you even know what he's got? Shador might be your best option to get you a few more wins if that's what you want or need. Thing is, you want to have a future, then I think either let Shador go and show, okay, maybe he is the future, or it all sucks. Let's go get our quarterback of the future in 2027. So I don't envy the Browns' position, but at least in 2027, if there's patience, and that's the hard part, if there's patience, then I think they can go find their quarterback of the future in 2027. But that's a hard sell. How do you keep selling it to Miles? Miles, one more year, pal. One more year, and we'll have this quarterback thing fixed. And Miles is like, yep, heard that before. So I mean, that's the hard sell you have because you've got a rock star defense led by Miles, and it's like you have this offensive situation with a quarterback that you don't. Well, right now you don't even know. You have no idea. Deshaun, Dylan, Shador. I mean, take your pick. There's nothing good really about all of them. I probably would go with Shador just because I feel like the players will rally around him and he'll give the best opportunity. But I know Jimmy Haslam wants to see Deshaun because he wants to recoup some of that investment they made in him, both trade-wise and financially. And I think that's dumb. I think it's dumb. But that's where the Browns are right now, being dumb. But that can switch around pretty easily if Shador adapts to the offense and becomes the guy there in Cleveland.
Johnny, great stuff, man. Thank you so much.
Love you, brother. See you, man. Bye.
Later, bro. My God, John Harris, TexAgs Live. He's on the Buppy's Catering and Bartending Hotline. All right, we'll hit a break. I think we'll have Coach Henry. Do we know? I think we'll have Coach Henry. All right. At Daily Company, they're a family-owned, licensed, and insured business offering HVAC, electrical, plumbing, and generator services. And they know that HVAC systems in Texas isn't a luxury, it's a necessity. So when you need service, it matters who you call. And I'm hoping you're going to call the Daily Company, locally owned and operated company that takes real pride in serving the community. Their HVAC department provides comprehensive service, including repair, maintenance, and full system installation. So if your AC stops working, they got you guys. In the middle of the summer, they know they're going to be able to bring that attention to you. They offer emergency HVAC repair because they know that breakdowns never happen at a convenient time, and their team works with all the top brands out there. At Daily Company, they stand behind their work and treat every home like it's their own. Call the Daily Company now at 979-2060-2020. That's 979-260-2020. Stay comfortable year-round with a local team that you can trust. It is the Daily Company. GoDaily.com and experience the daily difference.
getting hot outside.
And we're back. It is getting hot outside.
Yeah, it's getting hot outside.
And it's hot to trot. I don't know. I was trying to find a way to chit-chat into our track and field segment. And this is brought to you by our good friends at the Brazos Running Company. From running shoes to Aggie pajamas, this Aggie family's got you covered. Visit the Brazos Running Company in Century Square or shop their sister company, Mason Hay, at masonhay.com. With that, we've got our buddy Pat Henry in studio. Coach Henry, how are you?
I'm doing well. How are you guys?
Good.
Yeah,
good.
Good.
So I guess first off, how do you feel that the outdoor season has begun for you?
Yeah, for the first part of the season, I think we've done well. I think this is a time of year where, at least I'm preaching with them and team-wise, is little hurts are part of being an athlete, and you gotta withstand some little hurts, and you can't let little hurts get the best of you. There's a difference between little hurts and soreness and an injury, and you got to be able to define that for yourself, and you got to be aggressive about yourself this time of year, and that's what we're talking about.
That I gotta assume, because I see it even with my kids and their teammates in sports. Understanding the difference is a challenge, because especially at this level, you're giving it your all. These little pains that you get don't necessarily have to sideline you.
No, and there's lots of people around sport that make it a little bit more difficult for us, because everything is bad.
Right.
Every hurt, every little injury, every little this, every little that is too much. So it's about you got to be an athlete. You got to stand up. You got to say, this is who I am, and let's go. I got to get after it.
Coach Henry, I'm going to feel like Olin here, because I'm going to drop I don't know if old man line's the right way to phrase it, but a cheesy line. Here's one.
All right.
All right. So Michael Moibin, right?
Yeah.
He had an amazing performance. Muy bien.
Muy bien.
Very
Muy
good.
bien, yeah.
Very good. He was very, very good. So
Muy
excuse
bien.
the cheesy line. But he broke a school record that was around for 41 years. Muy bien.
Yeah, and the guy he beat, Arturo Barrios, was the world record holder within a year of that performance.
Hall of Famer, A&M Hall of Famer.
Yeah, and Michael's a freshman, so I mean, it's just a great run for him. He's it's going to be interesting to see how good this young man can be.
How do you manage a workload for a freshman who is, right, I'm looking at some of these numbers, 4th nationally, 1st in the SEC, like doing it all, right?
Yeah.
Recognizing this is some new, like what we were talking about when we started the segment.
Yeah.
This is kind of be a longer, more, what's the word I'm looking for here? Just, there's a lot more at stake right now.
Yeah. Coaches have got to understand, maturation levels, and have got to look at that, and got to understand the differences between a young man and an older guy. And we've got 18-year-olds competing against 23 and 24-year-olds in athletics right now, which is a very difficult task, really difficult task. And so managing who they are and where they are in their career is a big part of what we try to have to do right now. And you have to make some good assessments, and you're going to make a mistake every once in a while. You're going to run somebody at a time of the year that you might have wished you would have waited just a little bit longer, or you should have gone a little earlier. So it's a guessing game at times.
Deborah, the steeplechase, she was, Deborah, excuse me, Deborah Sharono, steeplechase title at Raleigh, now sits atop the national rankings.
Yeah, and that's not a great time yet, but it's faster than she ran at this time last year significantly, and that's the deal. That's the thing we're most pleased about. But tactically, she ran a lot smarter race. She was a freshman last year. Tactically, she won this race the way she ran it. She just, the young lady from Alabama who has run real well and has beaten her in the past, she just kind of sat on her hip and then outkicked her. So she's learning how to race a little bit better.
So you were telling me this about Megan Roberts, which I was fascinated by. Not only just incredible personal best, but the way she did it. Talk to us about the negative splits.
Yeah, I think that's the thing that I know that Coach McRaven is excited about, and Julia Abel. Coach Abel are excited about is Megan is, like I said, she's about as big as that bottle. She's had these little hurts all along, and now she's finally grown out of that kind of stuff. And she's got to manage herself all the time. She's got to take care of herself. But yeah, to run the second half of a 10K, she ran their first 5K was about as fast as she'd ever run. And then she comes back and runs about 28 seconds faster on her second 5K because she just got involved in the race. She wasn't worried about time. And to run 32 minutes plus right now at 10K for this young lady is really good. So she's making good she's doing real well right now.
And I think the fascinating part about it is a personal best in the first half.
Yeah.
And then even faster on the second half.
Yeah. That doesn't happen very often.
No, it does not. Talk to me about a Toro Bassi opening the outdoor season with the nation's best mark in the high jump.
Texan, high jumper. He jumped. Well, here's a good example of what you were talking about. This young man jumped 7'4.5" in high school, high jump, one of the best in the country, and it's just getting the motor started. And we have to be patient with him because, he didn't jump well last year until he got down to the end of the season. Well, we just had an indoor season that he's not used to. They didn't have that in high school, and so managing getting through indoor season, through outdoor season, not jumping too much, jumping enough, getting what we need to get in. He jumped 7'2.5" right now, so he's starting to jump real well, and it's good to see him coming along.
Talk to us about the 4x400 relay team.
Both of them. The men's team, we're going to put it on the track down at LSU this weekend, and we're going to put the ladies team on the track this weekend down at LSU. So this is a big challenge weekend. Let's see what we can get done. LSU's run well with the men, okay with the ladies, but there's about 20 teams at this meet, so there's going to be great competition, and we're going to have to run well to win it.
Talk to a little bit about that, the Battle of the Bayou.
Yeah.
Like, there's a lot of talent here, and a good gauge of where you are right now. Yeah,
I think it's almost across the board in almost every event. But we won't, you just mentioned some distance guys and ladies. We won't run those people down at LSU this weekend at 5 or 10 Ks. We can't double up weekend and weekend and weekend. Right. So we kind of pick the weekends we feel like we can get the things done we need to get done. But this weekend is a ballistic weekend. This is sprinting and jumping and throwing. This one of the weekend we're going to try to do our best.
When do you all head out?
Thursday morning.
Yeah.
So 44 Farms is our next meet here.
Okay.
And we've got about 30 institutions going to be here for that one. And I do want to continue to talk about the pro meet on June 6th.
Yeah.
I think that the pro meet is something this community's never had. This one's going to be on NBC, 2 hours live, around the world, not just U.S.
Yeah.
It's a U.S. gold meet. There's only 2 in the country. It's an IAAF world gold meet, and it's going to be a good thing for our program, for track and field, and for our community. I think it'll be fun for this kind of thing to happen here.
Well, we could talk about it every time you come on, sir. It will be
good.
Yeah, it'll be great to promote
They're
that.
They're going to start selling tickets here pretty quick, so I hope our people will join in and get after that one.
Coach Henry, appreciate you, sir.
Yeah,
thank you very much.
Guys. Appreciate it.
We'll hit a break. We'll come back. Trisha Ford in studio with Kay Nagley next on TexAgs Live. Well, A&M softball talk. Kay Nagley's in studio with me. Trisha Ford here to chit chat. How are you?
Good. Just getting ready to get back on the field again.
Yeah, well, I think yesterday in the press conference you categorized it like tough weekend, but a good weekend. Yep. If we can kind of go over that, and because there's a lot of things you liked.
Yep.
Obviously, you didn't like a couple of the outcomes, but there's a lot of positives as well.
Yeah, I think we just did a good job of battling in the box. To be honest with you, I thought overall the whole weekend offensively we hit them well, and so I think we make a couple of pitches when we needed to, play clean defense, and those games we're as close to winning all three of them as we were to losing all three of them, and so. I think, just continuing with this group to talk to them about like, hey, if we can execute X, Y, and Z a couple more times, we win those games, So.
Yeah. I know you're such a competitor, and I think it comes across in everything you do. And those one-run games probably bother you more than anything. So how do you go about, you talk about doing X, Y, and Z, right? Go about getting that messaging across to where it's like, okay, we know exactly what we need to do.
Yeah, I think I'm pretty brutally honest. I think our record, what's our record in one-run games?
I don't know off the top of my head, but
Yeah, 2-8. I was thinking I was remembering correctly. And so we had a very frank conversation about what that is and how we have to just be a little more grittier in all aspects of our game in order for us to win it. We're not losing these games by, a huge margin. We're not, and a lot of times it has to do with the beginning of the game or the middle of the game. It's not always just at the end of the game when everything is heightened. If we can execute, throw less pitches would be one area of just, we're getting too deep in counts, letting 2 or 3 hits go in a row, those types of things. We've had opportunities to make great defensive plays, and we've made some really good, defensive plays, but we haven't made some in some critical moments.
Offensively, I mean, against that pitching staff, to out-hit them the way you all did, just some takeaways of what you're seeing at the plate.
Yeah, I think they're doing a great job. I think we're keeping it simple. We're understanding our process, our plan. I always say this. I think Coach Harger is one of the best in the country. And I think they feel prepared. And I think when players feel prepared, they understand the task at hand. They're able to execute it. And I think they've just done a great job in that area.
Maya Perez is no stranger to playing in Austin. She's done it before.
She made her name,
Yeah, and she also got to actually swing the bat a little bit this weekend. How nice was it just to see her get back in form?
Yeah, I think we felt that they were going to throw to her, and I think it was important that not only that she had a good weekend, which I thought, she came up with some big hits in some clutch situations, but, Michaela Wark, I mean, if we're going to talk about having a weekend, Michaela Wark and Kennedy Powell were just tremendous. And so I think that's the piece that we're really starting to understand is that, let's say player X can have a little bit of an off weekend or an off day or a bad at bat, and then somebody else down in the lineup can pick them up. Kelsey Mathis is another one that's just been tremendous for us. So, I think everybody is kind of doing their part, and that's why you've seen our offense be so good, is because it's not just 1 or 2 people. There's been multiple players that have kind of taken some things on their shoulders.
A little bit more on Michaela, the National Player of the Week. But she batted, was it 9 of 12? Those ridiculous numbers. Just speak a little bit to that spotlight and meeting the moment.
Yeah, I think Wark, I'm just happy and excited for her. Like, she's healthy. She's feeling good in the box. She's understanding what her swing looks like and what pitches to attack. And that's really the key. When you're successful, you may only get one pitch in your at-bat that matches up with your swing path, and you can't miss. And she is executing at that rate right now. And so she's been a pitcher's nightmare. And, for me, I'm just happy to see her enjoying the game of softball.
On Saturday specifically, there were some base running things that I'm sure you would want to take back. Just how do you kind of go about this week going and addressing that?
Yeah, well, we did a lot of base running yesterday, and a lot of it's just pre-pitch. It's the moment, and the team. This is kind of what's really special about this team. This team had a meeting before practice yesterday to kind of address some of those things of like we're losing focus in some of these moments, and it's really not, from what they're saying like it's not a coaching thing. That's a us thing. There's a responsibility of us, to play the game at the right level, and so as a coach, it obviously is a coaching thing. But I think it shows a lot of kind of the leadership from KP and Maya Perez and Haley Golden. of those type of people that are understanding like, hey, we are capable, as ourselves to be able to come out and police this, and we're going to take care of it.
Sydney Lessenstein had her moment. She had some tough stretches as well.
Yeah.
What do you need to see from her over the next stretch?
Yeah, I just think consistency. I think when you look at her and she's got really, really good stuff. And that's what her and I talked about yesterday of just, you have to go through sometimes the yuck in order to really enjoy the good stuff. And I'm like, I promise you, if you stick with this, the good stuff is it's coming. And so pitching in our game right now is hard. I mean, look across the country. Look what Tegan Gavan's an All-American, right? Like, and she had a rough weekend, and nobody thinks that she's not a good pitcher anymore. And that's part of it is the resiliency that position really demands is higher than it's ever been in our sport. And that's really my message to the sophomore, the 20-year-old on the mound. You know what I mean? Like, so
sometimes people have to recalibrate what they think success is because what you just pointed out.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what we talked about. Like, if you just came out and threw and everything was great, like you wouldn't really understand this process. And now you're going through it, and she knows, like, I can beat anybody. And she's like, but there's points of the game in which I'm not executing. And it's when I'm not executing, obviously, that they're hitting. It's not like I'm executing and they're hitting. That's a whole different conversation.
Sure.
And so it's just, I was telling the team yesterday, I love Bo Jackson. Like, he was one of my all-time, I love guys that like hit, play the game hard. Yeah. But he was asked in an interview between football and baseball, which one he thought was harder. And he immediately answered, he's like, hands down baseball. He said, because of the mental focus that it takes over and over and over. In baseball, they're playing 162 games, same thing with, college sports. And so, not 162, but we have a lot of games in a short amount. And so that's the piece that I'm, kind of hitting home with her.
Yeah. Through 3 weeks of SEC play, y'all are fielding 966. Just what do you not like about that part of the game?
Yeah, I still think we could clean that piece up. I think, there's some things that haven't gone in the books that maybe should have gone in the books. But I think overall we're moving in a good direction. I think, it's like not really coach speak, but it is like make outs. Like when we get those opportunities, it's hard. Like, let's make sure that we're playing clean. So I think the communication piece is really big, and that's been good. And so I think, like we just keep talking about, like every week we're getting better and better and better.
Let's close out with Georgia. Just some thoughts on the team that they do a lot of things similar.
I was like, you could probably just swap our names, and so they swing it well. They pitch well. They've got, they have left-handed arms, but I would say more so than, we have two. They have two. I just think, we're going to have to come out, and it's going to be tough. But like, that's the best part of it. Yeah. Like, I want us to come out, and again, like I kind of said this before the Texas, it was going to be a chess match, and we obviously didn't execute. And I think this weekend will be similar to that. Welcome to the SEC.
Right. Yeah. It doesn't get easier.
Yeah, I was like, oh.
Trisha, thank you very much. Appreciate you.
Yeah, thanks.
We'll hit a break. We'll come back with a little bit more on the other side as TexAgs Live. Back for another week of In Case You Missed It, Sydney Clevenger and Kaylee Dreyer in studio. Last week we debuted a short one. Today we're going to try to go a little bit longer, right?
Yes.
So what do you both have for us today?
So in honor of April Fools, we have some videos of coaches saying out-of-pocket things in March Madness.
Out-of-pocket things in March Madness, okay?
Really funny. Wait, first, did you actually believe OB this morning when he announced his retirement? Me neither.
No, but I didn't believe it because I knew it was April Fool's.
Yeah.
I knew something was coming because he would have. That's something I think he would have prepared me for. Hey, I'm going to make an announcement. He didn't.
Probably.
But his eyes, he did get a little glossy-eyed. So I was like, this guy's about to fake cry on the air. So that's what I thought. So
He's a good actor.
he is accomplished actor.
So first we have Dan Hurley from UConn. He was headbutting the ref after the 73-72 upset versus Duke. He was a little bit happy, as you can say. We have a little clip to show y'all here. Like, what is he doing?
Yeah, like this is one that I've read many conspiracy theories that they're best friends. That he said, I think, in a commentary yesterday that he thought the ref was coming to chest bump him.
Yeah, he tried to back it up. And say
I don't know. Like
that didn't look like
90%
it.
of other coaches are getting a technical for that, right? So, and he's out, and then they lose the game because
that would have cost them.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I still don't understand what happened there, and I've read a lot of reports about it.
Well, we have another video from Dan Hurley whenever he was in the presser, shocked at their three-point percentage from the first half.
Dan, you guys started 1 of 18 from three-point range, finished 4 for 5, and hit the game winner from 3. How ironic is that? What do you feel was what turned for you guys down the stretch there?
What the hell did you just say? 1 for 18? I knew it was bad. I kept asking the assistant coaches, and no one would tell me what it was. I knew it was bad.
I kind of like him. It's kind of funny.
What a reaction.
Yeah. We got time for one more, Nick says, so I can't do any more commentary. What else?
It's fine. We have... It's fine.
It's fine.
Okay, we're going to go into my favorite one, Byron Smith from Prairie View. This is during the first half. Just take a look. This is hilarious.
Florida on an 18-0 run here. What more do you need from your guys to slow this down and get into their game?
They would need some help from the Lord. They're very good. They're very good.
That's my favorite one.
They played at Reed Arena earlier this season, so shout out to Prairie View. Ladies, thank you. What did you just say to me a minute ago? Like, anyway.
That's okay.
That's okay. That's okay. That's okay. We'll see you guys next week. All right, I'm just kidding. We'll come back. Kendall Rogers and Billy Liucci next on TexAgs Live. And we're back. It is TexAgs Live. We are presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. We are in the Rollo Insurance Studio. Should be doing some Aggie baseball and SEC baseball talk now as we go to the Buppy's Catering and Bartending Hotline, joined by our buddy Kendall Rogers from D1Baseball. Kendall, welcome to the show. How are you, buddy?
I'm doing well. How about yourself?
Good, man. So I think I want to start things off with how things felt a week ago to where we are now. And I'm not saying sweeping Missouri is this seismic shift in the way people perceive A&M. But, looking at how they've done it offensively, kind of what are some takeaways of taking care of business against a Missouri team that you had to, and considering what's still ahead?
Yeah, I think kind of going back to the Georgia series, I think I actually put this in my story that night when I wrote about the game, that I thought the series finale against Georgia was going to tell a lot about this team. And that's because Georgia kind of dominated the first two games of the series. I think we're going to find out what A&M is kind of made of in that series finale. They blow Georgia out, and then they've really kind of been a different team ever since, specifically from an offensive standpoint. I thought they were pressing offensively in those first two games. They were really good in that series finale. And they were really good throughout the Missouri series. I mean, the first game of the series was not as close as the score indicated. Pitching kind of got a little out of hand there, the last few innings. But, I mean, the offense was clicking on all cylinders, and now you're starting to get in a situation where you have some depth offensively, too. Charean Williams was a guy who we certainly talked a lot about in the fall. We hadn't gotten a lot of opportunity to see him this year. Early's kind of leaned on him over the last, week or so. And he's really delivered. So now you're in a situation to where, if there's a guy or two in the lineup who's not producing, you have some options. And so A&M's in a really good spot offensively going into the rest of the conference schedule. I mean, obviously, the pitching is still a question mark, unfortunately. I think they're just going to have to get creative. It looks like they have a couple arms back from, looking at Bronny's report the other day. But, I mean, it's abundantly clear right now that, Shane Sadeo and Weston Moss are not starting pitchers. Their best roles are long relief, coming out of the bullpen and things like that. So I wonder if Mike kind of moving forward gets a little creative there. Maybe he has an opener. I don't know if he, maybe tries to get those guys, 4 or 5 innings or 4 innings and then just kind of turn it over and just kind of mix and match. I think he's going to have to get creative if this team is going to get to the places they think they can get, specifically offensively.
Well, to follow that up, Aiden Sims, pretty darn good recently.
Yeah, I liked him a lot in the fall. I mean, I think I saw him in the scrimmage against TCU, and I mean, again, it's a 92, 93, bumping a 4, really good breaking ball. I thought his starting against Georgia. I didn't see his start on Sunday against Missouri, but his starting against Georgia, I mean, the breaking ball was really good. So, there's question marks on those other two guys. I mean, he is kind of what you thought he would be in the fall. So, I'm not here to say that Sadeo and Moss can't be efficient starters, but I think you've got to get to a point now where it's like, hey, can we get away with just throwing those guys 3 or 4 or 5 innings until they kind of implode? Because Sadeo really wasn't bad until it got late in the game.
Well, let's talk about Gavin Krahovic. On the season, he's been great, but the offensive output recently has just been, especially from a home run perspective, has been ridiculous.
Yeah, and it's good to see, because I thought earlier in the season, I thought he was fine. Don't get me wrong, he was fine, but it wasn't the kind of the Krahovic that we were used to from just a pure power standpoint. And so, he's tapped into that so far in conference play. I mean, you're sitting there now at 4 home runs on the season. He's getting hot at the right time. His OPS in conference play is 1.346. So again, you look at this lineup as a whole, and you're feeling really good about Krahovic. You're obviously feeling really good about Sorrell. Nico Partita. The talented freshman has been really good over the last week. And so, yeah, I mean, the Krahovic in that lineup, man, I feel really good about that unit right now.
Well, let's keep it with the freshmen who are contributing, not only Nico, but, I mean, Boston, you got Jorian. They've got a nice crew of young players that are playing at a pretty high level right now.
There's no doubt. I mean, you think about a guy like a David Ramirez who's even out for the year on the mound. I mean, he would really help this team right now. And so they've got him back next year. So, yeah, it's when you look at this roster construction, I mean, obviously there's a lot of older guys, but you really like to see that production from the younger guys, because it kind of gives, not that you're looking forward very much, but I mean, it gives you a lot of hope kind of going into next year. And so for me, as I look ahead to the weekend against Vanderbilt, I'm very curious to see how Mike Early handles Charean Wilson versus Terrence Kill Jr., just because I think we all love TK, but I mean, it's just, I think anybody that watches Wilson in the box and things like that, it brings a different dimension. Like, Keel's going to be a guy who's going to have pretty good plate awareness. He's going to be typically a singles hitter. Wilson's one of those guys, as we saw last night. They can put it out of the ball, like literally out of the ballpark. So I'm very curious to see how A&M handles that, because ultimately, as you look ahead in 2 weeks, you need to have that dialed in going into the Texas series, because as of right now, let's just say you take care of business against Vanderbilt. That's a swing series for me, because I think if you win that against Texas, I think you're in a really good spot to host.
Let's talk Cole Hubert. Just what have you seen from him on Tuesdays? What have you seen from him overall, and the direction he seems to be going?
Yeah, I saw him a couple weeks ago. I want to say, was it against Texas State? I think it was against Texas State. He was just okay. But, yeah, I mean, again, he's one of those guys that, has pretty good stuff overall. The fastball velo is fine. I mean, the breaking stuff's fine. But, as you look ahead to the rest of the season, with the discussion we were kind of having about Moss and Sadeo, you really need some guys to emerge, and he's throwing pretty well. And again, I feel like you kind of build your pitching staff and you build your roster for the postseason. And he's just another one of those guys that come postseason time gives you a pretty good option. Like you would put him out there in, let's say, a Monday of a regional, and you would not be terrified that he's out there in that situation.
Kendall, Grant Cunningham's got, a win and a save in less than a week. He's eating innings. He's coming in high leverage situations, some garbage time as well. How do you evaluate the way he's looked?
Yeah, I'm really kind of happy to see him do that. He was a guy that, was good at Washington with JK, and, I was obviously dealt with some injury things. The velo isn't quite what it was during his Washington days. And, a lot of kids in that situation, they can really get kind of mind rattled with it. And, it seems like he's kind of locked in this year. So, yeah, he's got pretty good breaking stuff. And, again, I'm sure he probably, creates a little anxiety with JK and Mike, because, he'll kind of hit a guy or give up a ball in the gap, and then he'll come back and get you a 2-punch out. So that's just kind of what you're going to get with him. Like, it's going to be a little bit of a kind of a roller coaster with him. But, yeah, I mean, the stuff looks pretty good. I mean, I saw I think the outing against Missouri, one of the outings against Missouri over the weekend, the stuff was pretty firm, and he was able, to get it out of a pretty big jam, if I remember right. So, yeah, it's really good to see. He's one of those kids you just kind of naturally root for, just based on what he's kind of gone through.
All right, so help me understand Vanderbilt. I know they've scored like 27 runs over the last couple of games. They've won, 5 in a row? They swept Tennessee. And this is after they were struggling for a bit. So is that more a sign of where Tennessee is or where Vanderbilt is going?
I think it's more of a sign of Tennessee. I am not very bullish on Tennessee right now. I kind of feel like Tennessee, I wouldn't say they're in the same boat as A&M was last year with a first-year coach, but I just don't see a lot of juice there. Offensively, they rank near the bottom of the league in most offensive categories. On the mound, they've just been okay at times. But I will say this about Vanderbilt. I think Connor Fennell is one of those guys that, you look at his numbers in conference play right now, 22 strikeouts and 17 in the third. He requires really good plate awareness, because he will stay in the zone and he will throw that nasty slider all day long. He will kind of reverse pitch you. He's not going to attack you with a fastball first. It's going to be slider first. So, I do think he's really good. Outside of him, nobody on the mound really kind of scares me for Vanderbilt. But I will say, just from a sheer, A&M pitching standpoint, the guy for me, or the two guys for me that you really want to keep from getting going, are Brody Johnson and Braden Holcomb. Holcomb has really struggled in conference play so far this year. 220 average with 1 home run. That tells me he's due. I want to say he hit like a towering home run in College Station 2 years ago, but man, he can really hit with some power, even though his numbers don't really show it. And then Brody Johnson, he was a guy that came in last year as a freshman at Vandy with some really high claim. He's off to a really nice start in conference play as well. So I think Vanderbilt's good. I don't think Vanderbilt's great. This is a series. If A&M is going to be a host type of team, this is a series you 100% should win at home.
So what's the key to the series, in your opinion, Kendall?
I think for me, just I think, and really this is kind of key to the season. I think if you're Mike and you're JK, you really want Sadeo and Moss to give you good starts because you just don't want to go into the Texas series just feeling a little wishy-washy about your the first two guys in your starting rotation. So as we saw from Tennessee Vandy over the weekend, Vandy is one of those teams that is not just going to lay down on the mat and accept a loss. They're going to battle back. And so I think just keeping Vanderbilt from getting on a roll offensively. And, I would not expect Vanderbilt to have that kind of offensive production this weekend. They're not that offensive of a team, but they were for, 2 or 3 games against their arch rivals.
Talking to Kendall Rogers here. Kendall, the top of the standings, or excuse me, the rankings, UCLA, Texas, Georgia, all having great weekends, sweeping their conference series. Are they just on a different level of everybody else?
As of right now, I mean, UCLA, the thing about those guys is they just continue to just pummel everyone. I'm really impressed by that. I will say this about UCLA, though. They remind me a little bit of Texas last year to where, like, everything kind of went their way. And once they got to regional and something didn't go their way, they lost it. And so I'm not just predicting they're going to lose a regional, but I think if you're John Savage, like, you want to have a bad weekend. Like, you don't want to just roll through your conference schedule and not really have to deal with any sort of setback. So that's one thing that's kind of top of mind for me. I think for Texas, I'll be very curious to see how they play up the middle this weekend. And then next week in College Station with Adrian Rodriguez, he's out for a couple of weeks with a minor hand procedure. So that's noteworthy for me. But they've kind of figured out their bullpen on the back end with a couple of freshmen, and Brett Crossland and Stan Kozar's been really good for them. So they kind of figured that out. And then Georgia Tech, I would throw Georgia Tech in the mix too. Georgia Tech is finally pitching at a pretty high level. Tate McKee and Jackson Blakely were really good for them last weekend. And then, whereas, a first-year coach and Josh Elander has struggled at Tennessee, James Ramsey, I mean, he's killing it at Georgia Tech. Like, he's done an amazing job. That team is kind of the same club every time out, and they're probably one of the top 1 or 2 offensive teams in college baseball. And then the last team for me that I would consider in that elite category, even though I'm still trying to figure out how they lost the Arkansas series because Arkansas is playing horrible right now. But Mississippi State, I think, is very close to that group. Brian O'Connor has done a really nice job in year one. They're very offensive. And then last weekend, even without Ryan McPherson, their Friday guy, Duke Stone was really good for them. And Charlie Foster gave them, 4 or 5 on the road as they swept their arch rivals in Ole Miss. So Mississippi State, to me, is very close to that group as well.
Kendall, what's happened to Auburn recently? Was it 4 straight losses after a really good start?
Yeah, I was kind of talking to a buddy of mine that's on the Texas staff over there. Like, man, what did y'all do to those guys? Because they just haven't been the same team ever since that Texas series. They're not getting it done offensively. They've been a little bit more, they've been a little bit more kind of gettable from a pitching standpoint. And so, yeah, it's just one of those things where they're going through a rut, and they're going through a rut against a really good schedule. So I think if you're Auburn and your goal is to host, like, you've got to kind of turn things around starting this weekend. That Alabama series is a heartbreaker. They were in a couple of those games, had a legitimate chance to win that series. They were unable to. Instead, they get swept by the Crimson Tide. So, yeah, Auburn kind of trending down, and Alabama and Rob Vaughn trending up in a big way. Tyler Fay, had that no-hitter against Florida a couple weekends ago, and threw really well for them last weekend. So all of a sudden, Bama, has a, bona fide, legit, like, all-American type of ace right now.
Well, and then you're looking around the SEC. Oklahoma is kind of having some issues. Arkansas had their issues. Virginia had some issues. How do you kind of take a look at those teams of what we thought they were a couple weeks ago and not read too much into what we just saw?
Yeah, I'm not reading too much into Arkansas. I just don't think they're a very good team. I saw them opening weekend against the Globe Life Field. I didn't think they were very offensive. A lot of swing and miss throughout that lineup. I thought the pitching was just okay. Typically you look at an Arkansas pitching staff and you're like, man, wow, it's like arm after arm, and you're just like, dang, like, I wish I had that guy. I don't feel like they had that this year, and it's kind of funny. I was talking to their staff in Arlington, and they were like, well, this is like the first year in a while where we could either be like really good or pretty average. And I think right now they're just pretty average. I mean, they, whether it's midweek or weekend, they just look okay. They have not looked dominant at any point this year. Even the Mississippi State series is more like Mississippi State just not playing very well than it was them being that good. I think for Oklahoma, I'm still pretty bullish on the Sooners. They need to throw a lot more strikes. But I mean, this is a team that has a series win over A&M, has a series win on the road against LSU. Could have very well won the Texas series. They lost 2 of those games in extra innings. But I still think that it's one of those, kind of looking back to the A&M series, I still think if you're Mike Early, it's one of those series where it's like, man, that's going to stick with me for a while. Because, I mean, A&M had a very legitimate chance to win that series. And, some could even argue they should have. And so I think Oklahoma's good. I don't think Oklahoma's great.
Talking to Kendall Rogers here on TexAgs Live. All right, Kendall, let's close it out with A&M. So you feel like this weekend against Vandy will set them down a certain path, right? Take care of business, and then we'll see what happens against these elite teams. If you don't take care of business, it's going to open the door to a lot more of, are they going to be able to host? Are they going to be able to make it? Yada, 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 correct?
Yeah, there is no such thing to me as a must-win series in April, or at least mid-April. But I do think if you lose the Vanderbilt series, you've got to win the Texas series. If you're going to host, you cannot afford to lose 4 of your first 5 series in a host of regional in the SEC. That really puts you in a tough position where you're going to have to win out the rest of the way in terms of series, not just go undefeated, but win every single conference series. So I think this is a big series. And then again, if you go into Texas and you win that thing, you're in a position of leverage, kind of going down the stretch, which is a really good position to be in. With the last 3 or 4 series of the year.
Kendall, great stuff, buddy. Appreciate your time.
You got it, man. See ya.
See ya. Kendall Rogers there on the Buppy's Catering and Bartending Hotline. What we'll do is we'll hit a break. We'll come back with On TexAgs Today, and then Billy Liucci will casually stroll in, and we'll chit-chat with Billy. Right now, a moment for Caldwell Country Chevrolet, Highway 21 in Caldwell, online at caldwellcountrychevrolet.com. You are thinking of a vehicle for that kid of yours. That kid better be at least 16. If not, we got to talk. But if they are 16 and you're looking for a new vehicle, start your search at caldwellcountrychevrolet.com. Take a look at their pre-owned inventory, and I think you're going to be blown away by it. And I also think you're going to love the trade-in value you'll get. So if you have a 16-year-old that needs to start driving and you're ready to do it, or maybe you just are ready to upgrade or change your vehicle, reach out to the good people at Caldwell Country Chevrolet. Bring in what you got and let their experienced sales team tell you exactly what your trade-in will be and show you all the great options that they have there at Caldwell Country Chevrolet. Remember, it's about a 15-minute drive, the edge of Bryant to the beginnings of Caldwell. Short conversation away, but you'll see the difference when you step on the lot. And you do business with the great people at Caldwell Country Chevrolet. Highway 21 in Caldwell, online, caldwellcountrychevrolet.com. I wish I had Olin here for it because he loves energy drinks. Catalyst Citrus Spark. This is one of the new flavors out there. Whether you're grinding through workouts, cramming for a test, or closing in on a deal, or getting ready for TexAgs Live, you never know, right? Fast becoming the go-to fuel for Aggies everywhere. 0 sugar, I'm all in for that. Or synthetic sweeteners, no artificial colors or flavors. Catalyst delivers clean, high-performance energy with smooth, crisp taste that is never syrupy, designed for both health and hustle. You want to get going? You use this Catalyst right here. It's about pure energy and pure results. And what sets them apart? Packed with premium nootropics blended to boost focus, clarity, and mental stamina. I need this. I'm in, guys. I'm in. Plus, with plant-based caffeine, vitamin B12, B6, Catalyst supports metabolism and energy production, making it more than a drink. It's your lifestyle training partner. Built for competitors on the field, Catalyst fuels strength, focus, and pure results. Buy now at drinkcatalyst.com. That is drinkcatalyst.com. Train harder, think sharper, pure results. It's Catalyst. All right, when it comes to your financial decisions, having the right advisor makes all the difference in the world, and Aggie-owned Paragon Financial Advisors is an independent fiduciary firm working with clients all across Texas, focused on advice, not commissions or sales quotas. Their team includes 18 professionals, 8 CFPs, and a CFA, and that level of experience helps ensure that your plan is built with care, with clarity, and long-term perspective. What you need to do is check out paragon-adv.com or call them up, 979-693-3907 to schedule your free consultation today. It is Paragon Financial Advisors, integrity, expertise, and trust. Paragon Financial Advisors. We go to the Angry Elephant News and Social Center. Kayla Gaither, tell us what's happening, what's cracking on TexAgs today.
Well, I will, but just as a reminder, it's always a good time to become a TexAgs Premium subscriber because we have so much content coming out on the site, like a football recruiting breakdown from Jason Howell of Texas A&M's latest 2027 five-star commit, Zarin Forstall. We have an in-home visit by Billy, Bronny, and Jason for TexAgs Premium subscribers, sponsored by Catalyst. We also have Marcel Reed's NIL interview with Billy Liucci, sponsored by 12th Man Foundation, and a recap of last night's 16-2 midweek matchup over Sam Houston by Richard Zane, sponsored by Premier Pools and Spa. Later today, we have so many NIL interviews, including Margot Manning, setter for A&M Volleyball, Gavin Grahovac, Jordan Wilson, Marcus Ratcliffe, and Jamarian Morrow. We have a baseball presser, and the B team will be on later today on TexAgs.
All right, thank you very much. People are asking about Recruiting Country. We're technically doing a Recruiting Country with Billy Liucci. That's brought to you by American Momentum Bank. American Momentum Bank is the only privately owned bank headquartered in Bryan College Station. They're committed to helping our community prosper by offering you a wide array of personal and business banking solutions specifically designed to help you build financial success with confidence and momentum on your side. All right, Ms. Gaither, you said a couple of texts came in earlier that we needed to chew on, so bring it to me.
Yeah, so we had a text in the Go Hour. It said, guys, Marcel Reed had a good year in his first year as a starter.
He did.
He elevated his receivers.
He did.
He needs to run more and throw the ball away or take the sack so he doesn't turn the ball over, but they're first-year starter stuff. I feel Holman will call plays to put him in a good position, and he wants him to run more. Can't wait to see this receiving room this year.
I hope so. Look, a couple things. The industry that I'm a part of, everybody, it's got to be black and white. It can't ever be gray. LeBron's the GOAT. Michael's the GOAT. Marcel's great. Marcel's not great. Arch Manning, Heisman, he's the worst. Remember when Arch was like being just kind of average and people were like destroying him too? That was
I
like,
remember that.
Everyone's a cliff jumper, right? A&M loses a baseball game and people go crazy like, oh, wholesale changes, we'll never win, we can't have nice things. A&M wins, we're going to win every game ever, baby. And that's from a fan perspective. And then you got media people. Look, I recognize I'm a dinosaur in the fact that I'm old and I don't do social media the way others do. Billy has adapted and does a great job on social. Bronny does a great job on social. I am a TBD social person. If I'm covering an event, I'll give you social. I don't need to take pictures of the food I ate. I don't need to have an opinion on every sports talking point out there. I don't have to insert my conversation in this chatter just so people, just not how I roll. I understand that in today's media landscape, that's how you kind of make it. It's just not me, and I'm just going to be me, right? And when I have an opinion on something, not every hot sports take has to be 1,000% this.
Right.
But I will die on a sword on this, that Marcel was really good last year.
Yeah.
Good enough that national media, not TexAgs.com, not TexAgs Live, not Billy, not David, people are always wrong, right? Connor Wigman a couple years ago. I don't know why it didn't work out here. He did a nice job at Houston. I thought he was going to be an NFL quarterback. He still might be. You had people like Jordan Rogers on the SEC network saying he was one of the better, if not the best, quarterback prospect, right? So this wasn't just coming from us. This is coming from all over the place. So what I like to do is I like to take things that people say and I do include them in my evaluation. Now, their opinions shouldn't sway my evaluation, but if there are times Connor O'Gara has been on this show, and Nick, you can speak to this, and he'll bring up an interesting point. And Connor, I think, does really good research and doesn't just throw a hot sports take out. He actually has, and sometimes he's wrong too, by the way. And they'll have this information to back what they're saying, or some people will just see a highlight of like the one NFL draft guy. I went through the comments who's talking bad about Marcel. This is the second time today I've gone through the Marcel games and he's been this or that. And then I looked halfway through. He was watching the South Carolina game in the first half.
Mm-hmm.
Well, let's talk about that first half. Nick, you remember that first half? You were sitting in the booth.
I do.
Was it just Marcel, or did we have drops? Did we have bad tackling?
Did we have the defense giving up what? The 20? Were they up 28-3 or 31-3 in the first half?
31-3. Yes. So they had a 28-point deficit. Was Marcel part of that?
Absolutely.
Okay. Was he the only reason?
No.
Okay. That game to me was a high-low game, right? Like we saw him at his worst, we saw him at his best, right? In the second half, does he deserve any credit for that comeback?
Yeah, a little
Or
bit.
is it the schedule?
I think he deserves definitely credit for that second half comeback.
Was that beautiful pass to ABR? I mean, it was a beautiful diving catch, like ridiculous. But was it perfectly placed?
But ABR couldn't have a beautiful diving catch without a beautifully thrown ball by Marcel Reed.
So people just sometimes need to chill out a little bit. If you want to say, look, I'm not sold on him taking you to the playoffs again, I'll sit and listen to that. What he showed me at the end of the year, I think the book is out, and Texas really did some things on film that Miami was able to replicate. If you want to say that, and he made some bad decisions, and the win certainly affected him at the end, and this and that, I'll listen to that. Okay. But like, I guess Bud Elliott was telling people for 11 straight weeks how bad Marcel was.
Yeah. Well, he was saying 14 weeks straight, not 11 wins straight.
Okay, can you just do me a favor? I kind of know the stats, but can you box score me the Notre Dame stats?
Yes.
Because I feel like that should be part of it. And I also think I play a part in this. Like I'm bringing spotlight to negative chatter, and I probably shouldn't. I should just move on. But I want to defend my guy.
It's the offseason.
Well, it's the
Why
offseason, and I want to defend my guy. And look, I'm going to tell you right now. I know people don't like next year Nuño and like, oh, he's making everything. No, he's got to be better. It was not good enough. Facts.
Right.
Okay. But I'm not going to ignore the good part too in my evaluation.
So in the Notre Dame game last year, Marcel Reed was 17 for 37. He had 360 yards. He averaged 9.7 yards with 2 touchdowns.
That sounds pretty good to me.
That's pretty good.
I'm actually doing a Marcel Reed game log, and I'm just going to kind of go through it because apparently for 14 straight weeks, he was terrible. Okay. Let's see. Against UTSA, he threw for 289 yards. Didn't have 4 touchdowns and interceptions. Okay, that was terrible. That's bad. Against Utah State, 220, 3 touchdowns. Didn't even play the fourth quarter. Notre Dame, 360. We talked about 2 touchdowns in that early pick. Auburn, 15 of 22, 207 yards, and an interception. Auburn had a really good defense, by the way. Mississippi State, 180, 2 touchdowns. Okay, 234 against Florida. Good defense, by the way. 280 against Arkansas. He was great in the Arkansas game. So was Taylor Green.
Right.
Right? So I am now, like, I am the Auburn game where he was sacked 4 times. I can keep going. Was there a bad game in there?
I don't see any terrible, outstanding stats that stick out to me that say Marcel Reed was really terrible.
For 14 straight weeks, you saw a bad quarterback.
It confuses me too.
Maybe 14 quarters? 14
Maybe.
minutes? I don't know. So, again, I don't want to give that too much more air. I'm sure Billy will have some thoughts on it.
Just a bad quarterback that led a quote unquote bad quarterback that led a team to be 11-0 going into the final week of the season.
We have to remember too, he was a Heisman candidate all the way up until about the Texas game.
Let's just for a moment okay, Marcel was a bad quarterback. Let's just for a moment. And they went 11-2.
Right.
Imagine if he gets average.
I don't want to see the team.
Okay, I'm just saying, like, if he gets average. And by the way, he could take a step back this year. That happens to quarterbacks. Ask Garrett Nussmeier, right? Mm-hmm. It can happen. He could take 2 steps forward. Take a break. Is our guy here?
He is.
Wow. Let me tell you about another guy. Chance McClain. He's somebody you can't just have a hot sports take about because he doesn't play sports. But you can have a documentary take. If they were to take a a room of a bunch of documentarians, all right? A bunch. Let's just take the 8 top documentarians and say Chance is one of those 8. Nobody would talk Star Wars the way Chance does. Nobody would talk Aggie sports the way Chance does. Nobody would make you laugh the way Chance does. Nobody would talk politics the way Chance does. Nobody would talk to you about World War II the way Chance does. Nobody would make you feel awkward like Chance does. Nobody would make you feel great like Chance does. Chance McClain is the guy. He tells stories. He tells your story, and he is an elite. He is a Heisman contending documentarian. Check out the website, yourheritagefilm.com, yourheritagefilm.com, 713-893-8341. It is Heritage Films. Welcome back to TexAgs Live. We are presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, and we're in the Roller Insurance Studio. It's a grand day to talk about grand stuff. 22 minutes left in the show. So really not a lot of time. No. That's like 2 questions.
Yeah.
With John Harris and Billy Liucci, that's 2 questions. That's what you're going to get. You're going to get 2 questions. And with John Harris, it'll be football. With Billy, it might be...
It could be any topic in
concerts. Could be food. Could be many... What? What happened now? Billy Liucci is walking in the studio now. I will allow him, I say out loud like I'm the king.
Thank you, David, for allowing this.
I'm going to allow you to put your microphone on, or you can hold it like you do sometimes.
I'm going to hold it because it's only 30 minutes.
Not 30 minutes.
Well, it's good.
Like
Yeah, we're
15.
Hey, my man, we're going over.
We can't.
We are.
But we can't.
Why not?
Because we got a bunch of interviews right now.
It's all right. I'm the boss.
Okay.
In case we're...
So when the
I had
sponsor...
to...
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sponsor what?
Well, we got to sponsor recording too.
They're going to be recorded. We didn't cancel them.
Okay, just making sure.
Like when people come in here, they do social media, they do the Zane interview for 10 minutes. So if they're scheduled at 11, guess what? I mean, I know this is crazy for anyone here to think outside the box, but when I come in, I've been held up and we want to do a little more, which but probably by the end of this, you probably have jujitsu to go to. Is
I don't
what
have
I'm
jiu-jitsu
feeling.
today. I don't have
You
it today.
probably have to go wrestle people. But here's the deal.
But we could do that here.
No one's wrestling at this office.
Why are you getting
There's
worked up?
HR, there's hard floors. I saw something from WWE the other day. Lady went through the ropes, landed on her head, almost broke her neck.
Yeah.
We're not doing
But why
that
are you getting
here.
worked up? I'm just letting you know that we have
I'm
something.
letting you know that we're going longer.
We're going long.
We're going longer
We're going
because,
live.
because I drove out here and I'm not doing a shorter on the radio than the whole drive.
Oh.
And by the way, and I got a ticket yesterday.
Really? After talking trash about my driving?
It wasn't my driving. It's these. I'm just telling you right now. There are a lot of they are loving giving if you're holding your phone tickets and I hate to say it, but they're preying on the students around here.
Yep.
They're hovering right outside our office, and we're getting, it's happening
got
to
you.
us. But I mean, I was holding my phone.
Were you holding it high or low? Because there's
you
tricks
know,
to it, right?
unfortunately, you know how I do because I hold but I hold it like this. And how do you feel about a cop making fun of the way you're holding your phone?
He made fun of it?
Yeah. So, and I'm pro, by the way. I'm very pro police. Always have.
Blue Lives Matter.
Yeah. I mean, you're talking my cousin, uncle, grandpa, all cops in New York.
You know, it's interesting. you say
Ace
that.
Mariani. They called him Ace.
When I go to lunch, jiu-jitsu at Brazos Valley MMA, all cops. I'm part of their friendly little community.
Well, maybe they wouldn't give you a ticket for that.
I hope not.
So here's the deal.
Yeah.
Drove over here, did that.
Thank you for coming.
We're talking, and you can adapt. When the athletes have to come in and do this, that, and the other, you can change the order. So we got us about 15 minutes. So let's go. 15 extra.
I want to go 17.
Yeah, you're pushing it.
Okay. So something caught your attention on social media?
No, we'll save that for later. I want to have fun with that one.
Okay.
But
well, does that have anything to do with the thing that I read on social media yesterday that triggered a couple of segments today on Marcel?
Oh, from Liam at Barstool, and then some
I didn't see Liam.
other scouts.
I saw Bud Elliott.
Bud Elliott chimed in, some other scout. It was like hate on Marcel Day, which is interesting because it's an effing Tuesday. It was a Tuesday in late March, and all these jackasses, mouth breathers, slack jaws, decided it was a day for them to start trashing. And by the way, Liam's not. I like Liam, but he's harping way too much on this Marcel thing. Has been from day one. We've messaged about it. We agree to disagree. No one that in this realm that's talking, it's just funny that happened on the very day that Marcel came in and we were talking about his senior year and what ways he's planning to improve and what ways they plan to accentuate, his skill set. My issue is this. My issue is it's not like no one has sat here and said that Marcel Reed doesn't need to improve. But I would say the same thing about John Mateer. I would say the same thing about Sellers. I would say the same. By the way, Sam Levitt had some ass games in his career at Arizona State. But we're acting like he's the be-all, end-all, just like they did with Austin Simmons last year.
Yep.
He got benched a few games in. I've seen Marcel Reed have better games against common opponents than Trinidad Chambliss has last year. Now, I think Chambliss, the way he finished, deserves to be ranked number 1. I think Arch, the way he finished, deserves to be ranked in the top 3. I think you can make a case for Marcel in the top 3, certainly in the top 5 in the conference. And by the way, if a Longhorn can look you straight in the face and say Arch Manning doesn't need to make significant improvement as a passer, then they're a dumbass too. And I think most of them that I deal with recognize that hey, that's a nice finish. It's encouraging. I don't even mind if you put him near the top of a Heisman when you look at the talent around him, the offense they play in, where the team's going to be ranked. Put him up there. But if in the next breath you tell me he's there and he's ready and doesn't need to improve, you missed roughly half his games last year.
Yeah.
And you can't just blame it on the O-line. Marcel's worst games last year came when his O-line played its worst. In the running game went
struggled.
away.
Yeah.
Now, he has to make significant strides as a passer. Holman Wiggins and Elko and the staff have to make changes to maximize his talent and comfort level and what he does and can do best. But at the end of the day, it is crazy to me the way these people around the country were waiting for him to fail last year.
Told you.
To say, I told you so. And
it took 11 weeks.
He failed in games 12 and 13. I'm not saying he was perfect in the other games. He was so bad for half against South Carolina, then he was great. But he was great in that second half against South Carolina. He was great in Baton Rouge. He was great at Arkansas. And I know it's a bad defense, but you knew in the first quarter you're going to have to score 40, 45 points. And he did it. He was great in South Bend with one of the best moments by a quarterback in college football last year. It probably went Mendoza 1, and that was certainly a top 5 if it wasn't number 2. And oh, by the way, he had 400 yards of offense in that game. And he helped his team not lose. You can talk about all the turnovers, and that is a problem, those red zone turnovers late in the year. 8 of them were in the last 3 games. So we would say, well, 12 turnovers. He had 4 turnovers in the first 9 or 10 games. So people forget that the guy was, you can disagree or pretend to disagree factually, not factually because they don't have polls, but everyone in the country was saying that guy was on the cusp, on the verge of being a Heisman invite, like right there on the edge of being an invite going into the Texas game. And now his play in Austin and against Miami, by the way, 2 great defenses with 3 first-round pass rushers between them that had a little to do with it, a lot to do with it. But his play in those games and the mistakes, in particular, it dropped that stock. It dropped the letter grade of the season. I like what Josh Pate said the other day. He wasn't picked in the top 8. He was right around 10th of the 16 quarterbacks by most rankings going into last year. And then as the year went on, you had people arguing that, is he 1? Is he 2? Is he top 3? So that's where, and then everybody went with that one. And then people like, a couple of people at Barstool like Bud Elliott. I don't listen to Bud stuff and nothing against it. I haven't. I know they do podcasts. It's really popular. People like them. And I've known Bud forever. But it's like once he was there, everyone started going, I don't see that. I don't see that. And that was fine too. If you didn't see that, you were probably right because it fell back down towards, but it was still such a better showing and he was such a better quarterback than people thought he would be going into the year. And I think we're going to see the exact same thing this year where his low floor bar is raised. And I think he's going to exceed that yet again. And my issue, though, here's my big issue, is the way so many of these, and yes, I think you're an absolute football dumbass if you think this guy is a terrible quarterback. And that, I don't understand the need to overreact that way. I know, you're a scout. You're the same guy that tweeted, or you're not a scout. You're a pretend scout. You play one on Twitter and YouTube. You're the same guy that was talking about how amazing Zach Wilson was. So we're all wrong. I understand that. We're all wrong when we do this stuff. But just you don't have to be so definitive about, like, there is a middle ground. And to me, it's absolute crap to overstate, Marcel's inadequacy or, his deficiencies to turn it into, oh, this is the worst tape I've seen. If it is, then you're lying. It's not. You're watching Casey Concepcion and you're talking about all these missed throws and inaccurate, but you're not watching Marcel Reed's whole season.
By the way, KC had a career year
900 yards
with Marcel throwing him the ball. Mario Craver had a career year with Marcel throwing him the ball. Nate Berkshire became an NFL potential draft pick because of Marcel throwing him the ball. The offense averaged over 36 points a game with Marcel. So,
how do you think, LSU thinks Blake Baker's a really good DC. That's why Lane Kiffin hung on to him when he came and didn't hire a new DC. Was held him over from Brian Kelly. And the LSU people think he's the be-all, end-all. They love Blake Baker. Ask Blake Baker if he agrees with these Twitter experts, these self-appointed scouts and gurus. Ask them if they agree. And I'll give you real people, and they will say, yeah, he needs to improve a lot here or there, but they will also say he does this great. He had great games here. If he can clean this up, he can be that, but I'm not ready to put him here. That's real talk.
Yeah.
And we're not sitting here saying this guy should be a top 5 preseason Heisman candidate. But there's a realistic, legitimate conversation to be had about Marcel, but no one seems to want to live there. Everyone wants to live in the, this is, including, by the way, a lot of Aggies. And I got that in my replies too. You guys toughen the up, support if you're a student here, support your quarterback and fellow student. And I'm not saying you have to, again, line up and start chanting his name. And you guys are the same ones that started that, by the way. So a lot of people have completely flipped on him there. And just, again, like I said, you don't have to organize 100,000 chanting, which was fun, by the way. Like, I don't care if people do it. Have fun being a fan, being a student, rooting for the Aggies. But you also don't have to go all the way in the other direction, because if that dude would have gone in the portal, there are a hell of a lot of real programs. And I think some teams that are going to be in the conversation this year in the SEC and nationally that would have paid that dude a hell of a lot of money, and probably more so than he got to stay here. Just remember that.
We'll hit a break. We'll come back with a short segment, and then we'll go long. Overtime. TexAgs. Everyone, David Nuño here for Allen Honda. Had a great conversation with them earlier today. John Allen's the owner. He's been here forever. And also their GM, Rusty Skinner, great guy. Wonderful conversation. They're super local. They're a family-owned dealership, not some massive auto group. And they treat their customers like family because they basically are family. They're Aggie alums. They love Aggie sports, and they've been serving the Brazos Valley with integrity, with passion, and commitment to excellence for over 50 years, which is very rare, by the way, for the independents, because people trust them. And that's why they've been doing it for such a long time. Whether you're looking to buy, lease, or service your vehicle, you can count on them for transparent, no-pressure experience that puts your needs first. And I can attest to it. Had a great conversation about my own situation with them. Their knowledgeable sales team will help you find the perfect Honda to fit your lifestyle, from fuel-efficient sedans to versatile SUVs. Leasing options are flexible and affordable, making it easy to drive the latest models with confidence. And when it comes to service, their certified technicians only use genuine Honda parts to keep your vehicle running at its best, whether it's routine maintenance, for major repairs, or whatever it may be. And we know that trust isn't given, it is earned, and that's why generations of local drivers right here in the Brazos Valley and Bryan College Station keep coming back to Allen Honda. As part of the community with Aggie spirit in their hearts, they are here to make everyone's visit wonderful. So visit their showroom or their service lane and find friendly, efficient, and memorable situations when you go to Allen Honda. Come see why so many College Station and Bryan drivers choose Allen Honda for their automotive needs, and remember, gig 'em. Final segment of the program here on TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers Rollo Insurance Studio. What we're going to do is we're going to continue on TexAgs.com. So this show will end abruptly in exactly 2 minutes. And Louis will take on the zone. CW will do their thing. And we'll just keep it going on TexAgs.com and maybe some other ways. All right, Billy, wanted to talk to you a little bit about the most recent commit, the edge from IMG Academy, Zyron Forstall, another edge coming, and quickly this recruiting class looking really like top-notch there for 2027.
Well, we've been talking about it, and I know Howell and Bronny have nonstop, and for good reason, because this class, look, like I understand that they're number one right now in the rankings, and I understand the shade that comes with that based on the 22 class. I'm not worried about that. This is a completely different coaching staff. This is a completely different era. You supplement recruiting with the portal. But, man, player development in high school recruiting and evaluation still matters. Just look at this football team. Look at the people we're talking about this year on this roster. It's
ABR,
probably,
Marcel,
ABR, Marcel, Terry Bussey. We're talking about Marco Jones, Noah McHale, Damian Sanford, DJ Hicks. This is all player development stuff. We're talking about Mark Naboo as the centerpiece returning.
I say Des Ricks, even though he transferred here. He's developed here.
Yeah. But I'm saying
just from the
high school recruiting
yeah.
still matters.
Mm-hmm.
It's wild that the one guy you picked, Jamarian Morrow.
There we go.
Ruben Owens, who they need to break out in a big way this year. That could change. Marcel was talking about him yesterday. It was really encouraging. That could change the whole. So, anywho, the high school recruiting still matters, and there are such things as like can't miss looking prospects, and Zyron Forstall is absolutely one of those. And what a recruitment by Mike Elko and this defensive staff to get him, out of IMG there. Obviously the football factory, but you watch him, and he is a next level edge guy. He is. I mean, look, he's exactly what you need to win in this league. He's what you need to have a national championship defense. You have to have players like this. And when you look at how Elko and company have been recruiting up front, you look at guys like who we just talked about, Marco Jones, like Bryce Perry Wright, who I just talked about. But now I'm looking at the edge, right? I'm looking at these edge guys, and they've got Forstall now, who I think can't miss. I really do. I think he's just trying to think of you think of the D lineman, A&M recruited the Myles Garrett's, the DeMarvin Leal was up there, Bobby Brown was way up there, and they've all had varying degrees of high-end success, and I think he's one of those guys that's going to be rated as high or higher than anybody but Myles. But him, and then you go Caden McCarty from right down the road, Cy Falls, and I think he was a steal of an early edge guy, and they got him in a big head-to-head over Texas. Those two in a class, and then Tristan Givens and Bryce Perry Wright in the class above, I just think they're really starting to accumulate and accrue game-changing players at that level of the defense. And then you look at the entire class, and